Hello, welcome to the fourth game in a row on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. That does indeed see us head to Vancouver for the second game in Group D. The other game in the USA's group as Australia face Turkey. This Australia's 6th World Cup in a row, looking to match or beat getting to the round of 16, which they did in Qatar 4 years ago. Tonight they face Turkey, playing in their first World Cup since 2002 and only their 3rd World Cup in total. Mohamed Toure of Norwich leads the line for Australia. Harry Souttar of Leicester and Watford's Nesteri Irankunda also start, while for Turkey, Brighton's Ferdi Kadioglu is in there. He starts at left back, but the main man in their starting 11, very much Real Madrid's Arda Güler. Curtis Davis is alongside me for commentary of this one. Curtis, good evening, good morning, how are you?
Good evening, good morning. Not sure what time of the day it is at the moment, but yeah, I'm happy to be here. All good, thank you very much, mate.
Now, we've just been talking about how this game has the potential to be an absolute cracker, and when you look at some of the names in the 11s for both teams, starting with the Australians, a really strong looking side there, plenty of names that you recognise from your work covering the Championship.
Yeah, definitely. When you look at Toure, his form this season for Norwich City after signing in January, unbelievable player, has shown great ability already in the short time he's been in England, been in the EFL. If anything, won't be surprised if there's some bids already for him in his short time there. Obviously Irankunda as well, young player, powerful, strong, loves shots from distance. They're going to be so important because we expect tonight Turkey to have a lot of the ball. If you're going to play in the transitions, you're going to rely on the likes of Irankunda and Toure with their pace, but also with their finishing prowess. And, you know, they've got the experience at the back there of Burgess, who we know from Swansea City, Souttar, excellent Scottish, Australian centre-half of his brother having played for Scotland. So they've got some good players across the board, but it's going to be a tough challenge against his Turkey side.
It's interesting there when I mentioned at the start of the show that Australia will be looking to match or beat the last 16 finish that they got in Qatar 4 years ago. When you look at the quality in that side, and we'll run through both starting 11s in just a second, do you give them half a chance of doing that?
You give them half a chance of doing it because of the quality in the side. But we know how big this game is now simply because of the USA result earlier. So with USA beating Paraguay 4-1, Paraguay are no mugs. So USA winning that game 4-1 means after this game, depending on how this one goes, Turkey will then go and play Paraguay, Australia will face America, USA. So that's going to be the big telling thing, because we know that 3 teams can get through. So you'd expect, you know, maybe Australia to go through, but again, as I said, Paraguay are a strong side as well, so you can't take anything for granted, and it's just about putting your best foot forward as quickly as you can. And like I say, we expect Turkey to have a lot of the ball today, but seeing that pace and that power at the top of the pitch for Australia will definitely be a threat for that Turkish defence.
Yeah, Australia, Turkey and the USA, supporters of all of those countries will be looking at this group thinking, why shouldn't we top the group? But like you were saying here, this one of those groups where when you're looking at the best third place teams going through, you will be surprised, not amazed, but certainly surprised if 3 didn't leave this group D.
Yeah, you would be surprised, and I think if I'm going to put my neck on the line, I would say that the USA and Turkey are the 2 that you'd fancy to be in those top 2 slots. But again, Australia, if they can get a result today, and I guess it will be putting the cat amongst the pigeons quite early, because Turkey, I know they haven't been to a World Cup for a very long time, but they're a very strong side, and the players that they have on show, it will be a big upset if they were to beat Turkey today.
As far as Turkey are concerned, the big bit of team news is Arda Güler from Real Madrid, one of their 2 key players, does start as part of the 3 behind the main striker Aktakoglu, but not starting, on the bench. 11 goals for Juventus last season, one of the stars of qualifying with 3 goals. Kenan Yildiz only makes the bench, and you were wide-eyed when you saw that flash up.
Yeah, because I believe at the back end of the season he had a slight niggle for Juventus. So I think that might be something to do with it. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure he's been involved in the friendlies. So yeah, it was quite a surprise to me. Whether it's a protection thing, maybe he's had a recurrence of something. But yeah, he's a big player for them. You know, him and Güler are the ones that are the star boys, as we like to call them. Where if you've got the likes of Çalhanoğlu, who are the tried and tested senior old guard as they are. So they've got a very strong side, both in experience and in this young, frightful talent that's coming through that can cut teams open. And I think, yeah, they're going to be very, very strong, and it's going to be a tough game for Australia tonight.
We've got a light show inside BC Place, Vancouver, which is where this game is taking place in Group D at the moment. Stadium superb. It's got a retractable roof on it, capacity of just over 52,000. The two teams, Australia and Turkey, starting to line up in the tunnel. We'll have the national anthems in around about 5 minutes time. If you are just waking up, by the way, hello, good morning. You've missed quite a bit overnight. 3 games already this evening into this morning at the World Cup. It all started in San Francisco with Qatar snatching a late equaliser to draw 1-1 with Switzerland in Group D, or Group B even. That was Qatar's first ever point at a World Cup. Last minute header, Curtis, that as a centre half I think you would have been proud of, rising high at the back post off a cross from the left. Really well taken in stoppage time, that for Qatar.
Absolute bullet header. Just the timing of it, everything that came with it, you know, the emotions of it being their first point in a World Cup after, especially having hosted their World Cup. They couldn't get a point in their home country, but to get one here in their first game in America against a strong Switzerland side as well, by the way. So really, really great result for them, but they want to carry that forward. They want to rest on that. They want to make sure that the work that they've done since hosting that World Cup is pushed forward, and they try and make it out of this group.
We then went off to New Jersey in Group C, Brazil kicking off their campaign with a 1-1 draw against Morocco. Morocco took the lead before Vinicius Jr. scored a brilliant equaliser. I mean, you weren't too pleased with the defending for either of those goals in that game, which ended 1-1.
Yeah, I think that obviously there's a ball straight down the middle for the Morocco goal, which allowed them in, and it's Alisson. Alisson comes out, and because he commits to outside his box, once the ball's lifted out high, he was unable to use his hands, and it was an easy finish in the end. But Vinicius Jr., you know, should be shown the line for his goal, and unfortunately the Moroccan defence let him cut in on his right foot, which we know he's going to do, and he puts in the bottom corner. But that was a really tight game, really good game of football, and you know, two sides, with Morocco having finished third in the last tournament, have got something to say this tournament, and try and make a name for themselves again.
And as we were just hearing a few moments ago, Scotland got off to a winning start with a 1-0 win over Haiti. John McGinn with the first half winner. It was scrappy, it took a deflection, it kind of summed up the game as a whole really, but fans of Scotland do not care, getting their first win at a World Cup since 1990. Here in Group D, the two teams taking to the field. Harry Suter leads out Australia. Hakan Çalhanoğlu leads out Turkey. Turkey playing at their first World Cup for 24 years. The flags have been unfurled either side of the halfway line. Australia's just to the left as we look at things, and Turkey's to the right. What we will see here for the national anthems is what we've seen in all of the games so far. All 26 players in the squad will gather around the centre circle along with the officials, which they're just doing at the moment. It is packed, it's not full inside BC Place in Vancouver, but there are yellow and red shirts absolutely everywhere. The yellow of Australia and the red for Turkey. Loads of photographers gathered pitch side as well. Harry Suter looking very stern-faced as he just takes his place on the edge of the centre circle, and he gets ready for the national anthems.
Please remain standing if you're able for the playing of the national anthem of Turkey.
Maintenant, veuillez rester debout si vous le pouvez pour l'hymne national de la Turquie.
Terrific noise inside BC Place for both national anthems. The first one for Australia, the second for Turkey, as both sets of players now peel away from the centre circle. Australia lining up then with Patrick Beach of Melbourne FC in goal. Their three centre halves, Alessandro Ciccati, Harry Suter and Cameron Burgess. Jordan Boss is the left wing back, Jacob Italiano is the right wing back. The two in midfield, Aidan O'Neill and Paul Ocon Enksler, the former of New York City, the latter of Sydney FC. Then Connor Metcalf and Nestori Irankunda, he's of Watford, support main striker from Norwich City, Mohamed Toure, who plays up top. The big surprise in that Australian team, Curtis, which we both raised our eyebrows at, Patrick Beach starting in goal ahead of the former Brighton man Matt Ryan. Patrick Beach coming in for what is only his second international cap, and it's at the start of their World Cup campaign.
Yep, and he must have done something fantastic in the camp to make that his own, because you know what you want when you go to a camp, and particularly when you're playing against these kind of tough teams like Turkey, is experience. And I believe Matt Ryan's got 103 caps, so that's definitely experience and somebody that's been there and done it and bought the t-shirt. So yeah, really interesting selection, but hopefully for Australia it pays off, because obviously he must have done something good to first and foremost be in the squad. You don't just want people to make up numbers, and the fact that he's been able to challenge Matt Ryan and actually take the jersey just shows how good he will be.
As far as Turkey are concerned, they go 4-2-3-1 in front of their goalkeeper Ugacan Shakir. Their back four, Zeki Çelik, Mary Demirel, Abdul Karim Bodakci and Brighton's Ferdi Kadioglu. Then a two of Hakan Çalhanoğlu, the captain from Inter Milan, alongside Ismail Yüksek. Then a three, Real Madrid's Arda Güler, very much the star man in this starting 11 for Turkey. Orkan Kokcu and Boris Yilmaz behind main striker Kerim Aktürkoğlu. All the cameras are zooming in constantly on Arda Güler. Let's see what he's made of on the international stage tonight.
Yeah, I don't think he struggles with the limelight, you know, having signed for Real Madrid so young. He had to take his time to make his way into that team after starting his career so well, and after being bought by them, he wanted to go there and be the star boy. He wasn't able to do that straight away, but this season he's really coming to his own in a Real Madrid shirt, but he'll want to emulate that in a Turkish shirt, and there'll be no prouder moment than to do that at a World Cup.
6 goals in 51 games for Real Madrid last season. Arda Güler missed 5 of their final games though because of a thigh injury, so we'll see how he gets on tonight. The main striker Aktürkoğlu, wearing shirt number 7, plays for Fenerbahce. 15 goals in 44 for his club last season, so we'll wait and see what he's made of as well tonight. It is a game that when you look at the stats, that when you do all your prep pre-match, you look at this one, famous last words, I'll touch wood here, it is a game that suggests there should be plenty in the way of goals, certainly.
I would like to think so. I think it's all about approach. Australia in their qualification group are always the the big seed, and they're one of the top in their qualification area. So that's why they'll always be on the front foot in their kind of games, and it allows them to score a lot of goals. Whether they'll approach a game against the Turkey side in a World Cup in the first game, and particularly what we spoke about already, the psychology of that USA game beforehand, I think it's going to really play a part to see how the start of this game goes. And you know, we saw Australia recently in the friendlies. They weren't necessarily on the front foot then, but yeah, still a threatening team on the breakaways.
Australia and Mohamed Touré are going to get this game started in Vancouver. 9 p.m. kickoff local time, 5 a.m. Sunday morning across the UK. It's Australia against Turkey in Group D, and Mohamed Touré starts things off. It's 5 Live and BBC Sounds live in the FIFA World Cup 2026. Curtis Davis, former Premier League defender, and myself, Lee Blakeman, your commentary team. And Australia are on the attack straight away as they started moving forwards there with Italiano. Stopped in his stride. Turkey win the throw-in in their left-back area and will clear quickly downfield. But if ever there was an opening 30 seconds that suggests what a team want to do, get it forward as quickly as possible, is the message from Australian head coach Tony Popovic, clearly.
Yeah, and it seemed to be the EFL players at the root of it, with Touré playing it back to Suter, and Suter sticking it up there right on the edge of the Turkish edge of the box. But again, that's the way people start the game, you know, try and put the ball amongst them. But you can see now straight away, Turkey in control of the ball, 4 men around Mo Touré using the ball, and Australia happy to sit in that mid-block just around their halfway line.
Turkey have the ball inside their own half at the moment with Badakci. He and fellow centre-half Demiral just passing the ball between the two as they go back to goalkeeper wearing all blue, Çakır. It's Turkey wearing all red, top, shorts and socks, against the Australians who've just won the ball back, yellow tops, green shorts and white socks. Connor Metcalf does well to hold off a couple of challenges down the right as he sends in the cross, cleared away sideways by Turkey. You wondered where that ball was going to go just for a second, and Australia have the ball back in the midfield with Çakır, who's come forwards. Italiano wide of him, he sends in a cross, ball on the edge of the area with Irankunda, takes it down, he's got 2 for company, and in the end the 2 overpower him, and Turkey come away with it. Really bright start in the opening 2 minutes in Vancouver. 0-0, Australia and Turkey, as we see Arda Güler get his first touch of the game. Turkey have it back on halfway with Kukçu. Basically, it's been you attack, we attack, and whenever Australia have managed to get the ball in the final third, they do look threatening. That time we saw Irankunda, edge of the area, just couldn't quite get the ball from out of his feet, could he? As Turkey come on the attack here this time with Güler. 25 yards from the byline on the right. Support arrives wide of him. Çelik came forwards there, and now Yüksek. Ball in the midfield with the captain Çalhanoğlu. Here's Kukçu. Ball to his left. Kadioglu of Brighton comes forwards, and then the shot comes in from Çalhanoğlu. That takes a deflection, and Turkey have the first corner of the game. 3 minutes gone, and we can take this all morning, Curtis, if this is going to be the way this game continues.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a game that keeps you awake at this time. And so obviously you saw Metcalf in the start of that move managed to do really well, peels away from 3 players, as you said, couldn't quite land for Irankunda, we know can shoot from distance. Just now we've had Çalhanoğlu around the edge of the box, Arda Güler feeding him the ball and managing to get a shot off, and we've already got a corner, and Australia have got some defending to do.
They have, and it's going to be Hakan Çalhanoğlu of Inter Milan, the Turkey captain, who whips in the corner. It's a good-looking corner. It's headed behind, and the referee stopped play because somebody's gone down there holding their head. Can't quite see who it is getting to his feet. He is just fine. It was Cameron Burgess of Swansea who just took a knock, and it's going to be the second corner in quick succession for Turkey here. That was well whipped in though by Çalhanoğlu.
Yeah, it was well whipped in, and it was his own player, big Harry Suter, obviously big 6'6", just barged into him. He's got up, he wants to defend this corner for his team, so fair play, he's got straight up off the ground.
Çalhanoğlu with another in-swinger, whipped in towards the 6 yards area, headed sideways, not really clear. Australia get the ball eventually through Çakır to the edge of the area. Turkey pump it back forwards. It might fall for Çalhanoğlu on this near side, headed away from him, and Turkey have a throw-in 7 or 8 yards from the corner flag. on this near side. I've said it a couple of times, but what a start to this game in terms of pace.
Yeah, all action. You know, sometimes we see games where teams are feeling each other out by just passing the ball around. These have attacked, and you know, I hope it stays like this, but I do expect it to settle down. But there's a lot of sloppy touches at the moment. I don't know, you know, with these pitches, because some of them have newly been laid, there's a few sloppy touches where people are giving away really silly balls, making really silly passes, loose touches. I just wonder if the pitch is really as good as it looks on the eye.
And you wonder what it'll be like playing with the roof closed at BC Place. It's got a retractable roof, as I said, pre-match. Will that feel a little bit different if you're playing there? 21 degrees, by the way, was the temperature locally. So not the warmest that we've seen, but still not the most pleasant conditions.
No, not pleasant. And I guess, you know, there's always going to be a reason if you do close the roof. The one thing it will be is loud. I'll give you that. And, you know, with Turkish fans in there, they're definitely going to be loud. And if Australians join in as well, that's going to be a great atmosphere. And you know, in terms of the temperatures and the way it makes you feel as a player, I think once you're on there, if it's hot, it's hot. If it's cold, it's cold. You don't care if the roof's open or not. You just want to make sure you do the right things, don't make mistakes, and look after your team.
5 Live and BBC Sounds at the 2026 World Cup. 0-0 Australia and Turkey, but it's Turkey on the attack at the moment. They've been on top for the last couple of minutes. Çelik down the right, goes back. Here's Çalhanoğlu in the midfield, tries the through ball, should be tidied up at the back that time by Burgess, and puts the ball out for a Turkey throw right by the corner flag. I mentioned that Australia started the brighter of the two teams in the opening couple of minutes. 6 minutes gone. For the last 4, Australia haven't been able to get out of their own half. Turkey looking very, very impressive when they have the ball. Çalhanoğlu here on this near side, the left. Yilmaz, his first serious touch. That bleached blonde hair takes over. He has it at the moment, linking up with Çalhanoğlu. Yilmaz in from the left, squares it, and now it's going to be taken from him by the captain Çalhanoğlu in the midfield. He's seen a lot of the ball so far in the opening 6.5 minutes in Vancouver. Here's Goulet to the edge of the area, might fancy a shot, does fancy a shot, couldn't keep it down over the crossbar. Goal kick to Australia. Australia 0, Turkey 0.
Yeah, and as much as Turkey have had a lot of the ball, for the most of it, Australia have been quite comfortable. They're playing with obviously their back 5, which are quite comfortable, with a 4 in front, and Toure is literally defending in his own defensive third. But that's the first time they've been opened up. Goulet just manages to get around that right-hand edge of the box, but can't quite execute the finish. Reach was always in charge of it, and always across that if anything was going to hit his target. But yeah, now Australia are back on the break, so we don't know what's happening in this game.
No, Australia moving forwards here with Toure. Takes the ball to the byline. Has he just won their first corner? Yes, he has. I said it earlier. It's basically you have a go, we have a go. Turkey have just dominated the last 5 minutes. They've had 2 corners. Now it's Australia's turn to see what they can do with their first.
But it shows there's different ways to do it, because Australia pumped that ball forward. The seconds landed. Toure got onto it, and he's won his own team a corner as well. And again, with Big Harry Souttar, Australia's top scorer in the lineup, he's got a good chance with his height to get on the end of it.
Connor Metcalf of St Pauli whips it in, and the goalkeeper comes, Çakir, and takes that at its height, wearing all blue. Good take, takes the pressure off his defenders, quick distribution, and now here come Turkey down the right with Çelik under pressure from Burgess. Çelik does well. Was that a foul? No, says the referee. Wags his finger at Çelik. It is going to be a goal kick to Australia. The officials from Venezuela, by the way, Jesus Valenzuela is the man in charge of this game tonight / this morning. This the final game of 4 that we've seen in this run of fixtures over the last few hours. Our time in the UK started with Qatar, Switzerland, 8 o'clock kickoff last night. That ended 1-1. Qatar with a stoppage time equaliser to secure their first ever World Cup point. That was followed by Brazil, Morocco. That ended 1-1. If you're just waking up, hello, good morning, by the way. If you did what I did and went to sleep just before that game kicked off, it did end 1-1. And then just before we came on air, we heard Scotland win against Haiti by a goal 2-0. This one, 10 minutes gone, Australia 0, Turkey 0 on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. But it has been, Curtis, an absolute pleasure to watch this game so far, because it's been end-to-end and wide open. As Turkey go long here, that's a misplaced long ball.
Yeah, and that's it. It's the two different ways. It's Turkey trying to play the passes, play through the lines, and trying to break down this stubborn Australia defence. Whereas when we've seen Australia, whenever they've had a goal kick or a free kick, they're just getting as many men forward, maybe 4-5 men around that final line, and just trying to put pressure on that way. So wherever the seconds land, they've got bodies around it, and then they're forcing men forward. And listen, that's going to last so long in the game, because it's only so many times you can keep giving the ball back to Turkey and waiting for 5 minutes to get it back. But if they end up getting a goal and they've got something to defend, then it's going to be a really interesting game. But right now, both teams are still in it, obviously, but Turkey are the ones in control.
Bardakci has it left side of the centre circle after a frantic start. Turkey just trying to settle things down a little bit here, getting plenty of their players on the ball. Here is Yüksek in the midfield, moves it to his right to Çelik, and now the captain Çalhanoğlu has it. He knocks the ball back, and it's with Bardakci forwards from centre half here. Brighton's Kadioglu to his left. 203 appearances for Fenerbahce, Kadioglu, before joining Brighton back in 2024. He scored 2 goals for them in his 2 seasons at the Amex. Here Turkey go long, over the top, another goal kick in Australia's favour. They're just struggling to make it click in the final third at the moment, Turkey, Curtis.
Yeah, they're just trying those hopeful balls in behind, and again, because they've got 5 men at the back, and especially the size of Suter and Burgess, 2 big boys that can not only physically see somebody out but aerially as well. They're dealing with everything, and I just think with Turkey it's going to be a long afternoon, but they have to be patient. They need to keep the ball moving. They need to find that man there that was just on the ball, Arda Güler, in the pockets, to make sure that they're able to break this team down rather than forcing things. It's only 10 minutes, 11 minutes into the game. Take your time, because as much as being on the ball, you know you're in control of the game, it's tiring if you're running here, running there, trying to make the angles. Australia can sit in knowing that they've got that pace on the break with Mo Toure and Imran Kunda.
Kadioglu's just played a through ball, and it's carried all the way through to Australian goalkeeper Patrick Beach. Once again, they certainly look the more assured and the more confident in possession at the moment. Turkey, Vincenzo Montella, their head coach, will be happy with what he's seen so far. They have just lost it here, though, in the centre circle, and Australia are going to come forwards here. Metcalf, ball out to the right to Italiano, takes it towards the edge of the Turkey penalty area, rolls the ball back. Aidan O'Neill of New York City takes over, plays a 1-2 in the midfield, tries a through ball. Italiano's in behind here, sends in a first-time cross too deep. It's going to go all the way through. Should be kept in on the far side by Jordan Boss for Australia of Feyenoord. Is kept in, running at Çelik, sends in a right-footed cross towards Toure, headed away to the edge of the area. Can the pieces be picked up by Metcalf? Not that time. Turkey will scramble it clear, and Güler tries to dribble the ball away. He's stopped in his stride, though. Australia have it back. Good little spell this for Australia. Ocon Engstler of Sydney has the ball, moves it to his right, and now here's Italiano one more time. Australia 0, Turkey 0 on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Australia with the ball on this near side there, right? They lose it, and now here come Turkey on the counter. First time ball forwards towards Aktakoglu. Couldn't quite take it and bring it under control. It is back, though, with the captain, Çalhanoğlu, in the midfield. And now Arda Güler, as Curtis was saying a few moments ago, if there is to be a moment of magic from this Turkey team, with the players certainly on the pitch at the moment, he is the one you would turn to, with their other star player, Kenan Yildiz of Juventus, only making the bench for this one tonight. There have been a few surprise bits of team news from both head coaches. We'll recap that in just a second if you have just joined us here on 5 Live. Turkey enjoying a lot of possession here. Yilmaz down the left, 12 yards from the byline, sends in a cross, always going behind, and indeed does go behind for a goal kick to be taken by Patrick Beach for Australia. That is the big surprise bit of team news from an Australian perspective. It's just his second cap tonight. His first came in a 1-0 defeat to Venezuela in November last year. He was actually named man of the match there, so you just wonder if that's played a part in Tony Popovic, the head coach's thinking.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing he had to firefight that day and make lots of big saves if they've lost 1-0 and he got man of the match. So yeah, fair play to him. I think the game at the moment itself is just lacking that final bit of quality. We saw Australia go up the other end. Whilst it was good work from Australia, Turkey just seemed so open and so easy to get through with that work down the right hand side with Metcalf, and once he's in, he rolls a ball through to Italiano down the right hand side channel. All he needs to do, he's in the box, he's on the touchline. He just needs to flash that across into that corridor. He tries to lift it, ends up missing everybody. When Mo Toure and Irun were in the box, he's absolutely missed a massive opportunity to give Australia a chance. Not only Australia a chance, but even a Turkish potential own goal or foot going out. Just made the wrong decision, and then you see the other end, they go down the other end and Turkey break away, and then it's Barris that unfortunately just lifts it over the bar, just waiting for that bit of quality to, that big keeper save, that big moment, that big shot that just hasn't come yet.
This is the 8th game of this FIFA World Cup, and we've just had a shot in the stands of Gianni Infantino. He's at this one as well. He must have been, if this is game 8, he must have been at 6 or 7 of these matches. He has got about a bit across the 3 host countries, Canada, the United States and Mexico. He's been absolutely everywhere.
He's probably on Air Force One with Donald Trump. So yeah, no, listen, he's been everywhere. I hate to sound like Roy Keane, but it is his job. But yeah, fair play. He's getting in the air miles, and he's getting to a lot of the games and actually showing his face. Yeah. It's good to see that this stadium is actually full as well, which is pleasing as well, because when you see World Cup games, you see empty stadiums, especially at this stage of the tournament, it's a real worry. But this one's definitely full. You can see, as you said, the red and yellow everywhere, and they're definitely supporting their country in with their bright colours.
Yeah, I did the second game of the World Cup the other night. South Korea 2, Czech Republic 1. That one was in Guadalajara, and there were a lot of empty seats noticed around the stadium. This, very much less so. I can hardly see any, just looking around the ground at the moment. Australia on the attack here. Good ball down the right. Toure will get there, edge of the box, running at the Turkish defender Demirel. He wins the battle. Australia will settle for a throw-in on this near side. But yeah, this one jam-packed, great atmosphere in Vancouver. I mentioned the capacity of the ground, just over 52,000. Pretty much all the seats, as far as I can see, are taken. 2 teams who will fancy their chances of making it through to the knockout stages of this World Cup. But we always say, first game of the campaign, absolutely key, and that is what this is for these 2 teams. It's actually gone behind for a corner. Australia's second of the game. Connor Metcalf to take it. It's going to be a left-footed in-swinger from the Australian right. 2 apiece on corners, 0-0 on the scoreboard. Metcalf sends in the cross. Goalkeeper comes, doesn't get there. Did he get a push? The referee saw something in there, but it doesn't matter anyway, because the ball has gone wide of the target, and it will be a free kick or goal kick to Turkey. Goalkeeper was just touched, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's obviously clearly a tactic for Australia there, but that's the second corner that they've had, and Connor Metcalf's taken it. But just the floaty nature of it, I'm pretty sure if you whip that in and you put that in with pace towards the back post, and Harry Souttar's attacking it a full pelt, I wouldn't like to get in the way of him. If I'm a Turkish defender, and it just seemed a little bit too easy for the keeper to be able to make the movements to try and catch the ball. And if the ball had landed on Harry Souttar's head and gone in the net, I think it would have been a foul. But yeah, that's the second one where they've tried the floaty one rather than a whipped-in ball, and yeah, that's quite disappointing, really.
Being a Stoke City fan, Harry Souttar, somebody I can tell you a lot about. He played for Stoke for a number of seasons, 6'6" tall. An interesting stat for him internationally, given what you were just saying, Curtis. Souttar scored 5 headers from corners in his first 5 Australia caps. So just those numbers there, 6'6" in height as well. It just shows the power that Australia have from set pieces. They've not got the ball at the moment, though. Turkey have got it in the centre circle.
But it also shows the importance of him in the fact that he's only played 2 league games this season due to his injury. But he's so important. He's here and he's captain of this country. So it just shows how strong he is.
Turkey on the attack at the moment. They've got the ball 25 yards out, goes to Kadioglu with a shot over the crossbar, always rising, never troubling Patrick Beach. And just actually, speaking of Patrick Beach, the Australia goalkeeper, What you were just saying about the corners that Australia were sending in, Turkey have had 2 as well. Are you surprised that they've just not tried to just put the goalkeeper, given it's just his second cap, under all kinds of pressure come what may early on?
Yeah, I think I'm slightly surprised. The only thing you would like is the personnel around that. You know, they haven't got big dominating centre-halves. Traditionally, they've got more footballing positional centre-halves, I guess, than the likes of when we look at the Australia team, we're looking at Burgess and Suter as a 2. So maybe that's why they haven't put it under the keeper.
Australia on the attack here, down the right with Mohamed Toure. Takes the ball to the byline, was eventually running down a blind alley, gets challenged. He's got into a good couple of positions down that right side, Mohamed Toure. This time couldn't quite make it work. Ball comes off him and it will be a goal kick to Turkey. 19 minutes gone in Vancouver. 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Australia 0, Turkey 0, and Turkey launched the ball long from the back. Çakir hits it downfield. Obviously it's a high ball forward, so it's being gobbled up in the air by Harry Suter for Australia, and the ball goes out for a throw-in to them on the halfway line.
Yeah, frustrating there from Toure in that final area. You know, he's got into those positions a few times. He's had to wait, he's had to be patient and wait for people to catch him up. But that time, he tried the skill. And again, I don't know if it's a sign of the pitch rather than his touch, but he tried to do a little kind of Cruyff turn. And it ended up just bouncing off of his other heel and going out of play. So I think some of the more technical players that are actually trying things, they're not quite getting the role of the green with the pitch, and they're having to get used to it a little bit more. And I think that's why we're seeing the likes of Güler and Çalhanoğlu that are trying these balls in behind, and it's not quite executing well, because I think everybody's still working out the pace and the pitch and how it's bouncing.
Australia just tried to come forward there with Okan Engstler down the left. His pass was intercepted. Turkey have a throw, and they have it amongst their back 4 at the moment with Demiral. Moves the ball to his left to Bardakci. Turkey playing in their 3rd World Cup. They lost their previous 2 opening fixtures, 4-1 to West Germany in 1954 and 2-1 to Brazil in 2002. Turkey actually finished 3rd back in 2002. If they can get anywhere close to that this time, it will be seen as a huge achievement. First things first, though, they're looking to make sure they get out of Group D. The other game in this group, of course, ended 4-1 to the USA over Paraguay. This one goalless. It has been entertaining, it has been end-to-end, but at the same time, neither goalkeeper, Beach or Çakir, have been called into action at all.
Yeah, it's a game where we describe as a lot of moments, no real action, no real saves. And again, the game is kind of settling itself out now, and you know, we're probably just about to go into a drinks break in a minute as well, but hopefully that drinks break sparks it up again, because it's just as we said, Turkey controlling the ball, trying to find the little intricate passes, the spaces, and Australia trying to play in transitions. Australia have had a little bit more control on the ball than they were at the start of the game. Yes, I think Turkey have stopped kind of chasing and pressing so much because they realise the spaces they're leaving behind. But pretty much since the first 5 minutes, we haven't had that kind of that action that we really wanted and we saw early on.
Yeah, Turkey looked really threatening going forwards early on. Australia have just won themselves a free kick for a foul on Mohamed Toure on the halfway line. The only times they have looked threatening, the Australians, has been when he's had the ball at his feet.
Absolutely brilliant centre-forward play. Stretches it, because they know he can stretch them with his pace in behind. He takes them away, then drops just down into his own half to sit on it, and then as the ball's played into him, uses his strength, backs in, and is fouled on the halfway line. And we're now going into the drinks break, but we'll resume with Australia free kick on the halfway line, where they can send the big men up front.
And as we go into the first hydration break, end of the first quarter of this game in Group D, Australia 0, Turkey 0. What have you made of it so far? Fairly even across the 22, you would say. Turkey looking more threatening when they had the ball, though.
Yeah, Turkey have had, again, all the possession, people in positions where if that pass is an inch better or a yard further along, they might get in. So there's again a lot of moments for Turkey, whereas Australia have more been, if they've got the ball into Toure and anybody can catch him up with his pace and his guile running in behind, then they've had half chances. I think the best chance would have come if Italiano just rolled the ball across the line of the box rather than trying to lift it, because Mo Toure was already in the box, Iran Kunda was arriving, and it would have caused, as a defender myself, all sorts of problems, knowing you're running back to your own goal, you don't know whether to put your foot in, not put your foot in, and obviously that chance is gone, and that probably was the real opening of this game so far.
Curtis Davis with us here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. So the first hydration break just taking place. If you are just joining us, good morning. Hope all is well. 3 games already this evening into this morning at the World Cup. They've all been live here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Started in San Francisco with Qatar snatching a late equaliser to draw 1-1 with Switzerland in Group B. That was Qatar's first ever point at a World Cup. Then it was off to New Jersey in Group C. Brazil kicking off their campaign with a 1-1 draw with Morocco. Morocco went ahead. Vinicius Jr. scored the equaliser, and just before we came on air here, we were listening to Scotland get off to a winning start with a 1-0 win over Haiti. John McGinn with a deflected first half winner. More games to come later this Sunday on 5 Live. The next game, Germany against Curacao. That one kicks off at 6 o'clock with Chris Sutton and Alistair Bruce Ball on commentary. Then at 9 o'clock, Netherlands against Japan with John Murray and Paul Robinson. And then midnight kickoff after those two, Ivory Coast against Ecuador. Chris Coles and Efan Akoku will be with us for that. The game's coming thick and fast. 104 matches in total at this World Cup. Coverage of them all on 5 Live and BBC Sounds with full commentary of 92 of those 104 games. Hydration break over. Gala and Freed from Desire fades away, and we will restart with an Australia goal kick to the right of the centre circle, just inside their own half, to be taken by Harry Suter. The referee, Jesus Valenzuela of Venezuela, just waiting to get the signal that we can restart. We do, and Suter launches the ball from right to left, the far side. The ball lands as we look at things, and it drops at the feet of Okan Engstler, moving down the left, stopped in his tracks by Arda Güler of Turkey, and now Aidan O'Neill picks the ball up of New York City in the Australian midfield. Still yet to have a serious effort on goal in this game in Vancouver so far. It's been a great atmosphere, lots of colour, as we've mentioned, lots of yellow shirts for Australia, lots of red of Turkey, but not too much to get those committed supporters who've paid a lot to be at this game excited. Here's Yilmaz, edge of the area left side, rolls the ball back to Ferdi Kadioglu of Brighton, who we've mentioned a few times. Yilmaz once more sends it across towards the edge of the area, and the shot goes in from Güler. That's the first shot on target. It was straight at goalkeeper Patrick Beach, exactly the person Turkey would have wanted on the end of that, Arda Güler. Unfortunately for him, it was too close to the goalkeeper, and now Australia come forwards on the counter here with Toure into the area. Another shot's going to go in, and Australia are ahead, and it's Iran Kunda of Watford who's got the goal. Iran Kunda and Toure on the counter. One long ball forwards, completely brought Turkey to a standstill. Toure made the run. Iran Kunda got on the end of it, put the ball hard and low into the back of the net, and Australia have their first goal of the World Cup. Australia 1, Turkey 0.
And we hope those drinks break would bring something to the game, and we've had it straight away, and it's exactly as we said in the first part of the game, where Turkey dominating the ball, and it's Yilmaz on the left-hand side. Yilmaz does really good work, and he just flips the ball into the box. It lands just inside the box, into the Australian box, and it's Güler on the end of it. But what they do is, as soon as they get it, they flip it straight down the other end. And we spoke about the pace on the break with Toure and with Iran Kunda. As he lands to Iran Kunda, he knocks it round. I can't remember what defender it is, but Bakachi, and then he gets the other side, and then he's just 1v1 in goal with Shakir, and just rolls it into the bottom corner, runs away doing the Tim Cahill celebration, and puts his nation 1-0 up in this big game. And as we said, the breakaways are always going to be dangerous. Every time they've found a little bit of space, they've managed to run into it, Australia, and Turkish heads are low because Australia are 1-0 up.
That's his 6th goal for his country on his 15th appearance. Nestori Iran Kunda. Watford fans will know what he's all about. He's only 20 years of age. He got 4 goals and 4 assists in 40 games for Watford last season. Curtis saw lots of him in the Championship, and he's just got Australia's campaign off to a great start at the World Cup. Just out-and-out counter-attack. Turkey with an opportunity down one end. Australia, one long ball, undoes them down the other, and now here come Turkey looking to respond straight away with Yilmaz, left side of the area, runs out of space, and it will be a goal kick to Australia, who lead this game in Group D by 1-0.
Yeah, and again, that was just an example of the end-to-end kind of nature of this game, and it's you attack, we attack, and for all the good that in that chance, Turkey actually taking the time and finding that pass, it would have been easy for Yilmaz to just flip that into the box, but he saw Güler arriving on the edge of the box. And
long ball forwards again by Australia. Goalkeeper Çakir has to come flying out of his area that time, playing the role of sweeper keeper, and he got there just in the nick of time ahead of Toure.
It looks like he's going to be needed because they're not even good balls forward, it's just hopeful balls.
Here come Turkey this time, end to end, as Yilmaz sends in a cross, poor cross, but it's a poor clearance as well by Australia. It falls for Güler, right side of the penalty area. Good challenge going in that time by Okan Engsler, but the loose ball falls for Yüksek. In goes the cross, headed away well by Suter. Shot's going to come in from distance here for Turkey off the post. What an effort that was from Bardakci, forwards from the back. If the goalkeeper got gloves on that, it was a great save. We'll get another look at it in just a second, but that shot from 25 yards out, coming back off the frame of the goal, that was spectacular from Turkey, who go long from distance again, and this time Çalhanoğlu's effort is off target, but what a strike that was from Bardakci, forwards from centre half. It was curling away, and the goalkeeper Beach did indeed get fingertips to that, curling away from the keeper, and it was just tips of the fingers that tipped that onto the post. Bardakci runs away with his hands on the back of his head. He can't quite believe it. He thought that was 1-1.
Oh, brilliant technique. When you see Australia sitting in, now they can protect the lead. They're not going to change their way they're playing. Going to be able to sit in on it. But Bardakci catches it. He must have been 25, 30 yards out. Catches it on a half volley with his left foot. As you say, fading away into the side netting. And Beach, the man that we spoke about so much in this game, on only his second cap, a massive, massive save to save it onto the post and keep Australia's lead. But it's going to be a long, long game left to go because Turkey are just going to keep on coming, and it's what Australia can do the other end now.
Bardakci played more minutes than anybody else for Turkey during qualifying. He's got 2 goals for his country so far. That, had that found the back of the net, would have been a third and almost certainly the best of the bunch. And as far as Patrick Beach is concerned, it's a bit like he's listening to our commentary, Curtis. We were there at the start of the game going, why are you playing? Why is Matt Ryan not in goal? That is why.
Yep, and that's it. And we spoke about, if you get man of the match in the game, you lose 1-0 and you're a goalkeeper, then he must have stopped a 10-0 route, basically, and that just shows the quality he's got. But if anything, shot stopping was going to be a big thing. Maybe that's what they knew. This game was going to be a game where you're going to have to sit in and maybe just suffer a little bit, and maybe he's better at that kind of side of the game.
Australia 1, Turkey 0, 31 minutes played. Yilmaz has the ball for Turkey on this near side, midway inside the Australia half. If you're watching football, listening to football, or indeed commentating on it at these really random times that the games are kicking off for this World Cup, occasionally you just need something to just wake you up just a little bit, and that was the moment in this game from a Turkey point of view. 1-0 down, but I tell you what, Bardakci, he didn't do much wrong. Left foot curling away from the keeper, and Patrick Beach, fingertips to knock that onto the post. I mean, a shot from distance always looks better when it hits the frame of the goal, but still, that was some effort for a centre half.
Yeah, especially when it's a lefty as well. Lefties always look a lot better, left footers. So yeah, I think what you just spoke about there, the Irankunda run, the goal, and then you get the Bardakci chance as well. You know, you don't need caffeine at this time of the morning when you've got that kind of action in games, and we're just so lucky to be able to watch this game and see it unfold with all this action. And you know, just Turkey are just constantly pressure on the front foot.
And this guy's looked good down the left. Yilmaz tries to switch things from left to right. Ball cleared away by the goal scorer Irankunda. Goes all the way down to the other end of the field, where it's picked up by Turkey goalkeeper Uğurcan Çakir, midway inside the half. Ball to the right, they work it forwards. Opportunity here for Turkey, might fall for Yilmaz on the edge of the penalty area. Ricochets all the way through, though, to the man wearing all black. Very much one of the stars so far in this game for Australia, and that is the man we were just talking about, goalkeeper Patrick Beach. Something else that I always think looks great, the apart from when a shot from distance comes back off the frame of the goal, a goalkeeper wearing an all-black kit. Very much a fan of that tradition.
What? Not all green?
All black or all green.
Okay, I'll let you off there. Yeah. And he actually's got long sleeves. A lot of keepers nowadays have the short sleeves as well. So yeah, he is a traditionalist, I guess.
Çakir wearing all blue down the other end for Turkey. Is he going to get tested here as Toure comes away, fouls his marker, ball runs out into touch anyway, and it will be a free kick to Turkey inside their own half. If you have just joined us, İran Kunda of Watford with the only goal of this game, 27 minutes in, and we're just getting another look at it now. It was one long ball downfield. Toure was making the run down the centre, but it was all about İran Kunda cutting in from the left, slotted it beyond the goalkeeper who had no chance, and Australia lead by 1-0 in this second game in Group D. The other one, of course, the other night ended USA 4, Paraguay 1. Turkey trying to get back on level terms here with Arda Güler of Real Madrid. Goes to ground, wants a free kick, nothing doing, says referee Valenzuela. Ball ends up in the Australian penalty area though anyway. Goalkeeper reacts quickly, ball out for a throw-in to Turkey on the halfway line, and he has looked very assured on just his second appearance for his country, Patrick Beach.
He has, it's one thing making a save, which is obviously a fantastic save, but even when the ball's been played back to him and he's got people pressing him and running at him, he hasn't panicked. He's tried to play the right ball, tried to play the right passes, and he's done really well. But I like the way the referee is refereeing this game. He's not dishing out cards for silly little things. He's allowing certain things to go, and he's been really good, really strong with his decisions.
Turkey on the attack, edge of the Australian area left side. Yilmaz cross, takes a deflection. Is it going to fall kindly for a player inside there? It fell to Kukçu, never really got it under control, and his shot from about 17 yards out went well wide of the target.
Yeah, Aktakoglu tried to be a bit too cute there. It's bouncing up and it comes to almost like face height, and he tries to chest it down, but never really in the right position to kind of chest it back, and just was never really expecting it to come to him, Kukçu, and unfortunately he's blazed it well wide.
Nestori İran Kunda, at the age of 20, becomes the youngest Australian player to score for them at a World Cup, and a lot's been made of the age of this Australian side. Actually, inexperienced and young squad, 4 players of which he is one, 24 or younger, and 11 have 10 caps or fewer. So a very, very fresh Australian side, but looking fearless at the moment. Tony Popovic putting a lot of his faith in a lot of youth, and it's paying dividends so far, leading Turkey by 1-0. Australia with the ball midway inside the Turkey half at the moment. Metcalf to the goal scorer İran Kunda. They keep it moving, and now Jordan Boss arrives on the scene over on the far side into the penalty area. Checks, goes back, cross comes in from Okan Engstler, too deep, behind it goes for a goal kick to Turkey. 8.5 minutes to go until half-time in Vancouver. Australia leading this game by 1-0.
Yeah, a little bit more confident going forward there, Australia, trying to take it on the front foot as well, and you even see now they're pressing the Turkish side even before half-time. So I think they sense something. They're trying to again change the narrative of this game. They don't want to sit in and camp out for the rest of the 50-odd minutes that are left. So they're going to have to do something, but there's still a threat on the break. We've seen it, the pace of Toure is scaring the centre-halves, which allows a space. And
long through ball by Turkey, too much on it. Celik was trying to get on the end of it, but Beach was able to claim the ball edge of his penalty area.
Yeah, it was always too long, but it was just one of those that it was a clever run, just overrun the ball that was played through, and just unfortunate. But Beach was there, he was ready, and again just knew what he was doing, very assured. And you see Suter there as well, very assured, with a Cruyff turn to casually play back to his goalkeeper.
Yeah, when under pressure for a main striker for Turkey, Aktakoglu as well, very cool, very calm. Harry Suter, 27 years of age, as Australia come on the attack here with goal scorer İran Kunda. He looks, I used the word to describe some of these youngsters a few moments ago for Australia, he looks absolutely fearless as they switch things from left to right. Ball goes out for an Australian throw, level with the edge of the Turkey penalty area.
That was a nice challenge as well. Both players full committed. Kadioglu and Italiano both going in for that one there, and it's good to see. And again, the referee in there allowed the decision to carry on because he thought it was soft. He didn't think it was a strong foul. If it had led to the goal, he obviously possibly would have had to check it, but really good refereeing.
Chikati takes the throw, and the ball's going to fall here for Boss. 25 yards out, hits one, always rising over the crossbar. Turkey with a goal kick.
Yeah, catches it really well in terms of the technique and how clean he hits it, but he was always rising, as you say. As it lands to Boss, he's 23 yards out and just smashes it, but yeah, always going up and always going over the bar.
Just had another look, as we've got 2 balls on the pitch at the moment, so we're just going to break in play. We've just had another look at that effort from Bardakci, which would have brought Turkey level. 25 yards out. What an effort. Great save by Beach. I'm going to call that one of, if not the, save of the World Cup so far. It was absolutely brilliant as Turkey looked to come forwards here down the left. Kadioglu to Yilmaz. Those two have seen a lot of the ball so far. Yilmaz tries to receive it back. Australia go back to goalkeeper Beach. Good with his hands, good with his feet this time, as the loose ball falls for Real Madrid's Arda Güler in the midfield. He's been kept reasonably quiet, much quieter than the Turkey head coach Vincenzo Montella will like. His star man has been kept out of this game in large part by a really well-organised Australia team. Yilmaz with the cross here, comes off an Australian head. Is it going to go behind for a corner? No, because that man, Patrick Beach, is there once again to make the claim.
Yeah, you spoke about Güler being quiet, and it's a case of where he's doing his work. You know, he wants to be in the pocket between the defensive line and the midfield line. But unfortunately, because of the way Australia are defending with the 5 at the back and the four are so deep, he's having to go search for the ball. And what that means is Turkey are having a lot of the ball, Güler's having a lot of the ball, but then whenever he turns around, he's got 9 men in front of him. So it's not that easy for him. He's trying, but I mean, be interested to see any tweaks they make in the second half to either stick another man up against the back 3 to try and, you know, disrupt that defensive line, or whether or not they bring on the key man that we spoke about before, Kenan Yildiz.
20-10 local time in Vancouver, 22-6 across the UK. 5 Live and BBC Sounds at the World Cup. It is Australia 1, Turkey 0, just under 5 minutes to go until half-time. Turkey on the attack with Yilmaz, pulls the ball back, but it's going to be cleared away by goal scorer Iran Kunda over halfway, and Turkey will build again from the back with their goalkeeper Çakir. Turkey, even though they're 1-0 down, their head coach at half-time, is he going to be saying much has been wrong here, apart from just trying to get Güler on the ball a bit more? Because this guy's seen so much of it on the opposite side. Yilmaz has been absolutely terrific.
Yeah, Yilmaz has had lots of the ball, and he's done really well. I think it's just warning on transitions. You know, if you know they've got pace, if you know they're going to be able to get in behind, making sure on your positions, and making sure, if not, I know it's the old dark arts, but foul early. You know, if you foul Iran Kunda early in that phase.
Turkey on the attack here. Shot comes in from distance, that time from Kukcu. And again, not for the first time I've used this phrase, always rising. It was actually Güler, who got the shot away, but always rising.
Yeah, a hopeful one again. Just managed to wriggle away from one player and just saw half a yard of space and decided to pull the trigger. But it would have taken a lot to get through those bodies, get past Beach and get that into the top corner.
3 minutes to go until half-time on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. I mentioned earlier on, we have got 3 more commentaries to come this Sunday. Germany against Curacao at 6, Netherlands against Japan at 9, and then midnight into Monday morning, Ivory Coast against Ecuador. We've got 5 Live breakfast to come as soon as we're done with this game in Vancouver. Rick Edwards presenting live from Los Angeles alongside Jeanette Kwachi. They'll be on, stoppage time permitting, at 7 o'clock. And remember, Rick with the Football Daily every single day throughout the tournament, downloadable every morning via BBC Sounds. Now Australia have lost the ball in the midfield, and here come Turkey. Ball from Yüksek out to the right. Çelik with the ball in field. Yüksek once more. Australia get back, to their credit, in their numbers with serious pace, and are able to clear the ball downfield, looking for an early run from Toure. Couldn't quite get it. It was a case of anywhere would do with that clearance, and it very nearly fell kindly for the Australians.
It nearly did, but the biggest frustration for Turkey there is it was a role reversal there, where they finally managed to get a a break against Australia where it seemed they had a 5v3 situation, but tried to be too cute with the pass rather than keep running and just get men forward. They tried to be too cute with the pass, was cut out, and again were nearly beaten themselves on the counter-attack.
Here's the very impressive Yilmaz running at the Australian right back Italiano. Challenge goes in, and Turkey have a corner, according to referee Valenzuela. You can't miss him, Yilmaz, with that bleached blonde hair. Very, very impressive player. Actually, I think the referee's changed his mind here. They were getting ready to take the corner, Turkey. Supporters not happy, but the decision's been changed and it's now a goal kick.
Yeah, I'm surprised they actually changed the decision when the linesman is the other side. So I don't know who changed the decision for him, but he's given a goal kick. But I have to give it to Italiano as well for how good that Yilmaz has been. He's been there, he's been fighting, he's been, you know, had to put in these tackles, and he's done okay. You know, although Yilmaz has had some success, Italiano's not given up on the fight, and he's given as good as he gets. So it's going to be a long second half for him if it keeps on going this way, but he's given as good as he gets.
Boss forwards to Aaron Kunda for Australia. He's into the penalty area left side, just slips as he tries to take control of the ball, and Turkey are able to clear, and Australia have it back amongst their defenders as we go into the final minute of the first half in Vancouver. Australia 1, Turkey 0. Just to say, by the way, if you're listening to us on BBC Radio Wales or BBC Local Radio, your Sunday morning programmes are going to start shortly at 6 o'clock. So for continued commentary, as Australia come on the attack here, shot comes in again from Aaron Kunda straight at the goalkeeper. So for continued commentary of this game, make sure you're listening on 5 Live and BBC Sounds, because BBC Radio Wales and BBC Local Radio stations will be leaving us shortly for their respective Sunday breakfast programmes. We're waiting to see how long is going to be added on for stoppages at the end of the first half here, a first half which has been thoroughly entertaining to watch, very, very open. Turkey looking to get a late equaliser, 4 minutes of stoppage time. Yilmaz moving forwards down the left, and now Kadioglu will take over on the edge of the area. Back to Yilmaz. He gets support in the midfield from his captain Çalhanoğlu, moves the ball forwards, and then it's a misplaced pass by Kukçu, which allows Australia to intercept. Toure, though, as he tries to come away, is dispossessed, and Kukçu works the ball out to the left to Kadioglu again. 1-0 Australia lead. Here's Yilmaz, edge of the area, running at the right back Italiano, who will be seeing Yilmaz in his sleep tonight. I think he's had enough of him in this first half. Turkey trying to pass their way through the Australian backline here, nothing doing, because they've been so well organised and so well drilled. They've made it really difficult for Turkey when they have got into the final third here. We've had 1 minute of the 4 played so far in BC Place, Vancouver. We'll be getting a roundup of the latest news at half-time as Kadioglu plays the ball down the left. Yilmaz once more on his right foot, sends in the cross, goalkeeper comes, didn't fancy a catch that time, but it was a decisive punch from Patrick Beach, and he got some distance on it, but it falls back to Turkey and Çalhanoğlu in the midfield. Is there a late equaliser at the end of the first half for Turkey? They have it here with Kadioglu again, the Brighton man, been very, very busy, like this man has in the first half. Yilmaz, misplaced pass that time though, poor from him, goes behind. Australia can breathe again, they have a goal kick.
Yeah, and if you see the work that Akitoglu's having to do, because of the back line and the back 5 of Australia just sitting in and camping, he's already having to fight with 3 centre-halves. They definitely need to do something to either push one of the midfielders to go alongside him or bring on another striker to disrupt the Australian back 3 centre-halves, because when he makes a movement, nobody's having to make the movement with him. He's just running into spaces. He realises there's another centre-half there, and then they're right on him straight away. Whereas if there's 2, and you know that by him making that movement, he's going to create another space, that causes problems. So something's going to have to give in the second half, because it's all well and good. They're having lots of the ball, but because all of it is in front of this Australian back line, they're finding it so easy. Suter hasn't got out of second gear yet because all these balls just keep hitting him in the area he wants to be in.
He's looked very calm at the heart of that Australian back line, hasn't he? He's going to get tested here though, because Yilmaz is on the attack again down the left, 6 yards from the byline, on his right foot. Can he send in a cross? No, he goes back to Çalhanoğlu this time, tries to force his way into the penalty area, works the ball across the 18 yards line. Again, very, very easy for this very well organised Australian team. 1-0 Australia lead as we go into the final minute of first half stoppage time. Former Premier League defender Curtis Davies alongside me for this one here. Turkey ending this first half well. Kadioglu, Kukçu, and now the ball goes back to Güler. Nice turn on the ball, and the shot's going to come in here from Aktakoglu, but immediately, as soon as the ball was worked to the feet of Aktakoglu, he got 4 Australian defenders on him in a flash. They get the ball out for a throw-in, taken quickly, and it's with Kukçu on this near side, back to Çalhanoğlu, inside left, 25 yards out, rolls the ball to his right, Güler chips it over the top, back to the left, Kukçu, decent first touch. Australia under pressure here, but coping with it, as Curtis was just saying, admirably. 30 seconds to go until we hear the half-time whistle. Turkey with a throw, just a brief pause while we've got 2 match balls on the pitch. Short throw, finds its way to Demiral, the centre-half on this near side, keeps it moving. Ismail Yüksek of Fenerbahçe in the midfield. Çelik, ball played forwards to Aktakoglu, who's been allowed no time on the ball at all, and he's not allowed any that time there either, because Cameron Burgess does really well. Ball goes behind, goal kick Australia, and that is half-time. Australia really impressive. Turkey haven't been bad either, but it's been Australia who've just edged it. They lead 1-0 as they go down the tunnel for half-time. Watford's Iran Kunda, the goal scorer, in the 27th minute, really well taken, classic counter, long ball downfield. Irakunda and Toure both made runs, but it was Irakunda who had the ball, cutting in from the left, on his right foot, into the area, and put the ball straight through the goalkeeper, who had no chance. We were close to an equaliser 3 minutes later. Bardakci, the Turkish centre-half, forwards from the back, 25 yards out, left foot shot, curling away from the goalkeeper, but Patrick Beach got fingertips on it to tip it onto the post. It has been an absolute pleasure, Curtis Davies, to watch that first half. It's been excellent.
It has, and you know, Australia taking the lead with the counter-attack is exactly what we knew was going to be part of their game plan, but to take the lead now, it's going to make it a lot more difficult for Turkey. They're going to have to change something in the second half, but it was entertaining. They kept going, they kept passing the ball, kept moving it around, didn't quite get that chance after the Bardakci strike, but they will keep going in the second half. I'm sure that Montero is going to have something to say to him, and also maybe a couple of changes, knowing how dominant they've been on the ball. Maybe bring on another striker or another more dominant player that can either shoot from distance or is going to cause that backline more problems.
Well, we mentioned at the start of the game, didn't we, the 2 star players who a lot have been made of for Turkey coming into this game. One has started, Arda Güler of Real Madrid. The other one, Kenan Yildiz of Juventus, on the bench, and you feel it's when, not if, we see Yildiz after half-time.
Well, yeah, that will tell us a lot about whether he's fit or not, really, because if he doesn't come on and they're losing this game, you're questioning his fitness. But I'd expect to see him possibly at half-time if he is fit, because he's a player that's got extra quality. He's got that top level quality, but also that level of arrogance that you need to try and win this game.
Australia 1, Turkey 0, the half-time score in Vancouver. We'll be back for second half commentary shortly after the BBC News on 5 Live with Stuart Clarkson.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The voice of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Thank you. Good morning. Scotland have won their opening World Cup group match overnight. Reaction on the way in a second. Elsewhere, a 4-day strike by resident doctors in England that was due to start tomorrow morning has been called off. The British Medical Association says the government's made a new offer in the long-running dispute over pay and conditions that will be now put to members. President Trump has claimed a deal with Iran will be signed today that would prevent it from developing a nuclear weapon and see the Strait of Hormuz immediately reopened. But earlier, Iran expressed caution over any signing, saying it would have to wait and see. Pakistan, which is mediating the talks, says the deal is expected to be finalised within 24 hours. The results of a government consultation show 9 out of 10 parents support banning social media for under 16s. Ministers have been developing a new strategy to keep children safe online and say they'll announce their next steps imminently. Those are the headlines on 5 Live. Let's get the sports news this morning with Ben Croucher.
Thanks, Stuart. As he was just saying, a nervy win, but a win for Scotland to kick off their World Cup. They beat Haiti 1-0 thanks to John McGinn's first half strike. Here's manager Steve Clarke.
I think the way the game panned out second half, we had something to hold on to. We defended really well. Could have been better with the ball. That's my only little downside. But listen, everyone told us it's a must-win game, and we've won it.
Scotland top Group C. Brazil rescued a 1-1 draw against Morocco thanks to a Vinicius Junior equaliser. Both goals in the first half. Ex-Uruguay midfielder Gus Poyet was left underwhelmed by the second.
Both teams, they didn't play to win, they played not to lose. And it's very difficult to play not to lose, trying to go forward. Yeah. And it was practically no chances.
Elsewhere, Qatar earned their first World Cup point with a late equaliser against Switzerland. Later on Sunday, Germany play Curacao, Netherlands take on Japan, Ivory Coast, Ecuador and Sweden, Tunisia in the early hours of tomorrow morning. One domestic line for you. Fulham are in advanced talks with the ex-Real Madrid boss Alvaro Arbeloa to become their next manager. Elsewhere,
Raducanu powers into the final.
2 matches in a day, no problem for Emma Raducanu as she beat the 6th seed Iva Jovic in straight sets to reach the Queen's final. The former British number 1 Annabelle Croft was impressed.
It was a flawless performance. There was nothing Jovic could do. Jovic didn't play badly. She played a really high-quality match, but she could not get the breakthrough. That was outstanding.
At the Women's T20 World Cup, there were wins for West Indies, Australia and Scotland. In NBA, the New York Knicks won their first title for 59 years, seeing off the San Antonio Spurs 94-90 in Game 5. Jalen Brunson scored 45 points. What a game it was at the Rec, where Exeter Chiefs became just the second side in a decade to win an away Prem Rugby semi-final. Rob Baxter's side beat Bath at 27-26 to set up that final with Northampton.
It's not often you get the chance to make history, is it? And we've made history today. We haven't even won a final. We've made history by being a team in third who's got to a final. We've come away to one of the best teams in the country, and we've won a hell of a game of rugby. I just can't say enough about these players. They're a special group of men.
In Rugby League Super League, there were wins for Catalan Dragons and Hull. It will be an all-British front row at the Barcelona-Catalunya Grand Prix. George Russell pipping Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes teammate Kimi Antonelli in a pleasant return to form.
It's been a great weekend so far. I kind of feel like my old self again, where sort of every lap I'm doing my job, always fighting in those top positions. Obviously, the last few races, for numerous reasons, haven't quite been on our side, but I came in this weekend with just a clean slate, felt good, and yeah, just great to be on pole.
London Pulse beat Loughborough Lightning to reach the Netball Super League Grand Final. Pole vaulter Molly Caudry will miss the Commonwealth Games and the European Championships after undergoing back surgery. And Tommy Fleetwood remains 2 shots off the pace heading into the final round of the Canadian Open. That's the latest from BBC Sport.
Here is Kane once again. Kane with a shot. He will not be denied.
FIFA World Cup 2026.
On Wednesday night at 9, England kick off their World Cup campaign against Croatia.
Ask your smart speaker, play 5 Live.
We'll be back soon for second half commentary of Australia against Turkey. Australia leading 1-0 at the break. First, a chance to hear when Wayne Rooney met Jordan Pickford before he joined up with the England squad.
Well, the World Cup, excited?
Yeah, can't wait. It's some experience.
In terms of preparations now, is it anything on your mind on the World Cup, or are you focused now?
I still, even my mum right now, she'll text me saying, text is when you've got that text that you've been called up, and then she'll always say well done when she sees it announced, on the social media and stuff. So I've always got that pressure of wanting to see and let my mum know, but that I feel like I still have that pressure of getting picked, and it's going to be a different experience. Just think about all the travelling and the heat.
When I go back to the England goalkeepers, you've got Shilton, Banks, Ray Clements, Harty had a good stint. And I'm genuinely saying this, I think for me, I think over these next few years you could establish yourself as England's greatest ever goalkeeper. I really believe that.
We talked earlier as well about the pressure, and there's no more pressure than being the England number 1 in a major tournament. And I think the biggest thing is I'm a passionate lad. Everyone might think I'm too passionate, but I think that brings the best out of me. I'm a fan as well. I've grown up watching you in the Euros and World Cups. I've been around barbecues, been to pubs watching as a young lad, and there's nothing better than me having that opportunity to play in them. And I think that's where I step up, and that's where my mentality shows. And there's no better than the fans behind the goal and cheering us on, and the experience, the journey you go on. It's like when we've been there, it's like we've never, not once in all the tournaments because if we're in the knockouts, I'll never pat me back. I'll always just leave it, and I know I'm going back to base because I know we're going to win. I've got that mentality that we're going to win and we're going to go so far.
You've been so close, haven't you? So
yeah.
That must drive you on to get so close. Yeah. And obviously the Euros at Wembley, yeah, so close to winning it. So I remember we played Italy in the quarter-final of the Euros, and I was coming up against Buffon, and he was pointing to me to the side where I was going.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh, what do we do here? Do we go that way? Do we go the other way? Is he getting in my head? It's mind games, and I was quite nervous, actually, before that. It's the same for a keeper can be the hero, can't he?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot more pressure on the taker. I think we've got to, like, for me, I just do my process. I do my same, every pen I do my same process. When I walk over, take my time. I try and get there a bit late to, like, make them wait a bit longer, but some referees can be a bit iffy on it. But, yeah, I just make sure I do my same process and try and just, like, look in their eyes, really, and just put fear in them. I think they'll know I'm good at saving pens, so they've got to execute that pen, so their pressure's going to be higher. But as long as I do my same process, I'm always confident that not a day life, but I've let you score 2, but I'm always confident with me power, me agility. I'll get across the ball and if I get the right way, I'll always have an opportunity to save.
Do you know the difference for outfield players in having a keeper and the trust in the keeper? Say you go into a penalty shootout.
Mm-hmm.
The difference, I had it in 2008. I was still nervous, obviously, but when we won the Champions League with Van der Sar, and having a keeper you trust and you think, right, we know he's going to save 1 or 2 here. And so if we score, that makes a massive difference. You know, I don't know if you know that as a keeper.
No, I know. I know I can save these. I'm going to save, though. I'll focus on doing my job and getting 1 or 2 saves. I might only need 1. Because when you trust the lads taking them, the process they've went in, the time they've put the practice in, they'll now nail them. And I might only need to save that 1, but I know I'll get an opportunity to save at least 1, and that'll be the big change in the game.
Well, we don't want to go into too much detail on it because...
No, keep our cards
under
closed.
Wraps, and then when you win it for us, we'll speak after, yeah.
That's another podcast.
I actually think going into this World Cup, I think you just have a chance to enjoy it more. And the reason I say that is, I think when I've been to World Cups or Euros in different places, I know what the state is like, and I think you will be able to have a bit of, in your downtown, relax a little bit more and get out the hotel. Sometimes you feel you're stuck in the hotel, and you just look like you've got a good group there, group of players, good camp.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, Tuchel coming into that with his experience. How's he been?
No, he's been brilliant. I think it's his first tournament, so we're going into it all together. But he's been brilliant, and he pushes us every day, even in training meetings. But he also likes that togetherness side outside of the training. So when we work, we'll be working properly. But he'll also want us to enjoy the downtime, whether that's playing golf, going for a walk, having a coffee, or going for a team meal. I think we'll probably be a bit more open to it, like we have in the past in some of the cities we've been to. It does get like that. But then I've got to give a lot of credit to the staff at England, the FA, that they do everything for you, for that base camp, that hotel. They make sure it's as good as they can, and I think they put a lot of effort into it. What a lot of people in the world don't see. They'll try and do everything that we ask for, if not more. And even just little things like last camp in March, like they send like a box home with like a letter to give to your family, then just a few gifts, and like when we get a Kansas in our base camp, they'll have like your room like with your family, like pictures of your kids and that, and what you like, if it's sweets or Haribo's, whatever. It's like, or there's like little things like small like details what goes a long way.
Definitely. When was the last time you wrote a letter?
Me? Have you seen me write? That'll be fair, just like letters, and I think just like that.
That's nice, because I think that's more personal, isn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously you've
got your phones and that, but like it'll be like you get like even misses like last tournament like got me mates to write letters and stuff as well. It wasn't just like me family; it was like me mates, and like I remember when we're doing this as kids, and like well, look where you are now, and so like you go back to yourself as a young kid, and never forget who you are.
Thank you.
Cheers, Waz.
Enjoyed it.
No, it's been good.
Yeah. Smash it, the World Cup.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to The Wayne Rooney Show on 5 Live. Don't forget, you can listen to all previous episodes on BBC Sounds and watch them all on BBC iPlayer and the BBC Sport YouTube.
The FIFA World Cup 2026
on 5 Live Sports.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Live Sunday Breakfast on the way in an hour with Rick Edwards and Jeanette Quatchi. But first, back to second half commentary. Australia against Turkey with Curtis Davis and Lee Blakeman.
Thank you, Stuart. The two teams just making their way back out in BC Place, Vancouver. Half-time, if you are just switching on. Australia leading Turkey by 1-0. Watford's Nestori Irankunda with the goal in the 27th minute. Turkey have played well, they've been creative, they've hit the post thanks to an absolute worldie from centre half Bardakci from 25 yards out, brilliantly saved by Patrick Beach. But it is the Australians who are edging it so far. What will the message have been from both head coaches, Curtis, at half-time?
I think from Popovic it would have been more of the same. You know, we knew that coming into the game, Turkey are going to have a lot more possession. It's going to be about the transitions and the fact that they have a lead to defend. The way they've done it in that first half so far has been brilliant. They'll want more of that, but it will be tiring as the game goes on to keep playing like that. They'll maybe want a second goal on the counter-attacks because it's going to be a long, long half. And you can see Turkey now making the change, and we spoke about it, saying, are they gonna blink early and do it quick? And there's that man there. Kenan Yildiz is on the pitch to try and get them back into this game, and that's what it needs. They were huffing and puffing, and they had a couple of good chances. One from Goulet, from good work from Yilmaz, and the one we spoke about from Bakachi, where he hit it from distance. But we need that quality now, and they need that man there to come on and get them going in the second half.
So 2 star players for Turkey coming into this World Cup. Goulet of Real Madrid started, and now Kenan Yildiz of Juventus comes on during the interval as Turkey get the second half started. They're kicking from left to right as we look at things. It is World Cup 2026 football live from Vancouver on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Australia 1, Turkey 0, and it's Turkey on the attack straight away with the ball to the edge of the penalty area. Australia able to scramble it clear. Curtis Davis and Lee Blakeman, your commentary team. The big surprise for me is not the fact that they've brought Kenan Yildiz on. We were all expecting that, but they've taken Yilmaz off, who for me was their player of the first half.
He was the one involved in everything. He was a part of the action. He was constantly up and down and making things happen. So really surprised that if he hasn't got an injury, I'm really surprised to see him come off the pitch.
We'll run through the 2 lineups for you in just a second, but Turkey on the attack here with a shot from distance straight down the throat of impressive Australia goalkeeper Patrick Beach that time. Shot straight at him, needed saving, and he bowls the ball out very quickly to his left to Jordan Boss. Australia making no changes, and why would they, during half-time, leading 1-0, and as we mentioned a few times during the first half, looking very, very impressive, certainly in terms of defensive organisation as they switch things from left to right. They have the ball on the halfway line, Australia, at the moment. It's Aidan O'Neill in the midfield. He goes back, and Australia indeed go back to Patrick Beach once again. It's Beach, the goalkeeper, Chiakati, Harry Suter and Cameron Burgess, the 3 centre-halves, Jordan Boss, the left wing-back, Jacob Italiano, the right wing-back, Aidan O'Neill and Paul Ocon-Engstler in the midfield, with Nestori Irankunda of Watford, the goal scorer, and Connor Metcalfe in behind main striker from Norwich, Mohamed Toure. Had quite the start for Norwich this season, scoring a hat-trick on his debut, not being involved as much as he would have liked for Australia so far tonight, but he won't be too fussed because his team lead by 1-0. Turkey on the attack here with Kukcu. Ball played in towards main striker Aktakoglu, but it's going to be cleared away by Australia, only as far as Kadioglu over on the far side. Misplaced pass. Australia will bring it clear. Boss dodges one challenge, invites the second, but still manages to find Toure, and he's got Boss in support here. Toure, he's running at 2, and now Boss arrives on the scene. Can he get a shot away? Checks onto his right foot, shot deflected, corner. Should he have taken that first time on his left?
Yeah, I thought he would take it on his left and just flash it across, because even if the keeper makes a save, you see Iran Kunda arriving, that if he had made the save, he would have maybe pushed it into his path, but he tries to chop back into his right foot, gets deflected and out for a corner. But good work on the transition again, really, really well worked. Mo Toure, good timing of the pass, and just couldn't get the shot off, boss.
Aidan O'Neill goes across to the far side, the Australian right, to take this first corner of the second half, in front where a large section of Australian supporters are gathered, all wearing bright yellow shirts. Corner goes in from O'Neill, looking for Suter, heads it down to the edge of the area. Shot comes in from distance that time. Very, very wild from Italiano over the crossbar, and it will be a Turkey goal kick, which is taken quickly by Çakır. Çelik, Demirel, Bardakci and Kadioglu of Brighton make up their back four. Then it's Yüksek and Çalhanoğlu, the captain, in the midfield. Çalhanoğlu of Inter Milan. Yildiz on for Yilmaz at half-time, left of the front three, alongside Kukçu and Real Madrid's Güler behind the main striker, Kerem Aktürkoğlu of Fenerbahçe. And it's Turkey who have the ball with Çalhanoğlu at the moment. Long down the left, headed away by Australia and Italiano. It falls for Kukçu though, 20 yards out, tries to force his way through the Australian backline, but as we keep on saying, Curtis, and you will, as a former centre-half, keep on admiring, there's no way through the centre of that defence at the moment. They're so well drilled, those three, Suter, Burgess and Çiğkati. Let's just see what Turkey can do here as they come down the left this time, with Yildiz running at the right back. They work the ball back to Kadioglu, plays the 1-2, Kadioglu with a cross in, it's cleared away, shot's going to come in from the edge of the area, Australia block it, good chance here, shot comes in, takes a deflection that time, and it goes wide from Yüksek. Yüksek caught that well, took a deflection, wide of the target, Turkey with a corner. They've started this second half brightly.
Yeah, really good work down the left-hand side, and this Yildiz that initially makes the run, plays a really good 1-2 with Kadioglu, who manages to get back on the end of it, and as it lands to the edge of the box, it's hit fiercely by Ismail, and he manages to get the shot off, but it's deflected wide, and now another corner for Turkey.
Çalhanoğlu to take it, in swinger, in front of a large section of Turkey supporters. Behind that goal away to our right, wearing all red, referee not too happy with something, he just stopped Çalhanoğlu from taking the corner, eventually gives the signal to send it in it does go, flicks off the back of Suter's head, and it will go behind for another corner. It's going to take something to beat the 6'6" frame of Harry Suter from a set piece. Quickly taken corner this time, from the right, in it goes, headed away by Burgess this time, falls to the edge of the area where Aktürkoğlu was waiting. He didn't catch it well, but Turkey still have the ball. Here's Kukçu, chip ball over the top, easy header away for Suter, and then Australia play it further clear over halfway. They need to think of something else from these corners, do Turkey, if they're to have some success.
Yeah, it seems at the moment if they're doing the same things they were doing in the first half, and it's going to take a moment of unbelievable quality from distance probably.
Here come Turkey again this time. Ball across the face of goal is played by Demirel, but the offside flag's gone up on this near side as Yildiz tried to get on the end of it far side.
Yeah, he did look offside, and yeah, as I was saying, it's going to take a moment of real quality where, you know, maybe a distance shot like we saw from Bardakci in the first half, that's going to break them down, or a mistake or a deflection, because at the moment they're doing the same things. Harry Suter there, I don't think he moved 5 yards, but he made about 3 or 4 blocks within a quick succession there, and just because he's that big, that physical, that strong, there's nobody in the Turkish team that can get anywhere near his physicality, and he's finding it really easy to defend his own box.
7 minutes gone in the second half. Australia 1, Turkey 0 on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Loads more World Cup commentaries coming your way this Sunday into the early hours of Monday morning. 6 o'clock tonight, Germany against Curacao, followed by Netherlands v Japan at 9, Ivory Coast v Ecuador at midnight, and then a 3 a.m. kickoff Monday morning. It is Sweden, Tunisia, all live on 5 Live as part of 92 commentaries that we're bringing you coverage of all 104 games across this World Cup over the next 5.5 weeks. In fact, it's 5 weeks now, isn't it? 5 weeks today until the final. Here's Toure on the attack, down the left for Australia, rolls the ball back to the goal scorer, Iran Kunda. Ball back on the Australia left with Boss this time. His cross is blocked by Çelik, and Australia have another corner. And again, they not only have the assurance of Suter defensively from corners, they also have him as a big threat down the other end.
They do, and I saw with the last corner, they tried the outswinger with O'Neill, with the last corner rather than Metcalf. So I'm interested now, and now it's the other side. So it is Metcalf that's going to swing this one in. Sorry, O'Neill that's going to swing this one in.
Yeah, O'Neill with the delivery. It's high. Suter rises. It's a good save by the goalkeeper. Will it fall for Irankunda? No, it's back with O'Neill on the left. He sends in the cross. Suter proving a threat once again. Turkey struggling to get this ball clear. Eventually, Australia get on the end of it. Chiakati's over there. In goes the cross. Toure tries an acrobatic one. It's gone wide, but it's going to be kept in play by Irankunda. On this near side, the Australia left, level with the edge of the penalty area. Receives the ball back from Aidan O'Neill, the man who swung in that dangerous corner a few moments ago that Suter very nearly made it 2-0 from. Ball goes back to Jordan Boss, who's playing left side centre-back at the moment. Does well to leave Aktoglu on his backside. Boss moves forwards. Ball to the right to Italiano. Australia just check and go back to Suter, who's resumed his more regular place of centre-half. They're trying to play through Turkey here at the moment as they get the ball up towards Toure. Turkey clear it, and it's going to be tidied up at the back by Chiakati for Australia. He was forwards for that corner as well, but that was another chance from another Australian set piece.
Yep, and it was that big man there, John Suter, sorry, Harry Suter, his brother's John, that got on the end of it, and it's the man that we always expect to. But the disappointing thing about it is when it came back out to Irankunda, he didn't want to take on Çalhanoğlu. He played the ball back and almost missed another opportunity.
Australia on the attack. Toure into the penalty area, left side, marked tightly by Celik. I thought it was offside, and eventually the flag has gone up, and the referee, Jesus Valenzuela from Venezuela, blows his whistle. Harry Suter's header on target. Good save by goalkeeper Çakır, especially as Toure went in right in front of him and the ball bounced right in front of him as well.
Yeah, it's a really good save, simply, because it was a savable header, the pace on it and where it landed, but just because of Toure slightly putting him off, he managed to do really well to not only save it, but to beat it far enough away that Toure couldn't pounce on the rebound.
Australia have lost their opening game at 5 of their previous 6 World Cups, winning the other 3-1 against Japan in 2006. They're winning this one at the moment. Turkey want a free kick for a foul on Orkan Kukcu, and they're going to get one dead centre 25 yards out. Opportunity here, and it's Güler who picks up the ball straight away.
Yeah, and as much as I've praised the referee for his refereeing, and he makes the right decision with the foul, I think this should have been a yellow card. It seemed quite a cynical one, and it was just as Kukcu was about to break into the D and potentially have a shot, he was cynically taken out. But fair play to the referee. He's reffed the game in this way all game, and he's kept his cards in his pocket.
Now that the free kick has been properly placed by the referee, it's closer to 30. It's about 27, 28 yards out this, but it's Güler again who spots it up and lines it up on his left foot. It's a smidgen to the right of centre. Australia with 5 in the wall, 1 standing just off it. Güler goes for goal. Good save. The ball's loose inside the penalty area. If someone can get on the end of it for Turkey, Kukcu puts it back in, deflect behind, and is that going to be a corner? Yes, it is, and Güler walks away, nodding his head, knowing he did pretty much everything right there. Curled it around the wall, low. Goalkeeper did well to get his right hand to it.
Yep, and it's Pat Beach that makes the save, and it's a save he should make, and he does enough with where he puts it, because luckily for him, Yildiz doesn't manage to get onto the rebound, because after making such a good save, would have been devastating if he just tapped that in.
Corner to Turkey, Australia leading 1-0. In goes the corner. Headed sideways by Chiakati, ball still loose inside the penalty area. Shot goes over the crossbar eventually from Ismail Yüksek, who has had a decent game so far. The Fenerbahce midfielder that time though couldn't keep his shot down.
Yeah, it was a hopeful one, tried the one where he swivels on the spot to try and get the volley, but always off balance, always going wide and wildly into the crowd of those red shirts.
17 minutes past 10 local time in Vancouver, 17 minutes past 6 Sunday morning in the UK. Turkey goalkeeper there, Çakır, under a little bit of pressure as Australia played a long high ball downfield. Safety first. puts the ball out for an Australian throw midway inside the Turkey half. Turkey, in the opening 12.5 minutes of the second half, have been excellent.
They have, but at the same time, they've conceded a couple of decent chances to Australia as well, which again sums up this game with the fact that Turkey have been brilliant. They've had a lot of the ball. They've actually been better with their openings, but Australia are still dangerous. So they've got to be careful of the set pieces, the breakaways, because they're always leaving that slight door ajar that Australia could get a second goal.
Ball put out for another Australian throw. Sunday Breakfast follows us on 5 Live and BBC Sounds from 7 o'clock this morning. Rick Edwards live from Los Angeles. Jeanette Quachi presenting the programme as well. Rick, of course, bringing the Football Daily podcast throughout the tournament. Available every single morning with full reaction from the previous day's World Cup football. Rick on from 7 o'clock this morning, and then 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman from midday. Commentary of the Spanish Grand Prix with George Russell on pole position for Mercedes. Ferrari's Lewis Hamilton starts second on the grid, so an all-British front row in Barcelona. Commentary from 2 o'clock. Mark Chapman with all the World Cup reaction and Formula One build-up from midday. The ball is with the man wearing all black, Australian goalkeeper Patrick Beach at the moment, chosen to start this opening game of the tournament ahead of regular number 1 Matt Ryan, formerly of Brighton and Arsenal, and he's made one excellent save if you are just waking up to keep this game at 1-0. Turkey on the attack. Poor final ball that time by Güler. Not quite sure who he was looking to pick out there. Easy clearance for Australia, and Turkey will come again down the left with Brighton's Kadioglu. Forwards he goes to Kenan Yildiz, on as a half-time substitute. Not really been involved so far in the opening parts, but he's got a chance here as he moves into the area left side, tried to get a shot away with his right foot. Never really looked convincing for as long as he had the ball there. Yildiz down the left, and it ricochets through to goalkeeper Beach.
Yeah, once he went down the left, and he managed to kind of squirm his way into the box rather than with a bit of luck rather than quality. But you did wonder if they were going to stick out a foot, that he might be able to, just manipulate a penalty. He didn't quite do that, tried to get the shot off. Poor quality in the end, but it is interesting, and the more we see it at the moment, Yildiz hasn't quite got into the game, but how good Yilmaz was in that first half, he's already being missed. So it's interesting to see afterwards what the manager says about the game and whether Yilmaz was injured.
Very much so. That's the only explanation you can think of, because he was by far and away their best player, Yilmaz, as Australia here take off the goal scorer, Nestori Irankunda, as we hit the hour mark in Vancouver. It's his goal, the Watford man, that separates the two teams, and he is going to be replaced by Melbourne Victory's Nishan Velapille. He comes on, and he's had a good game, Irankunda, as he goes off.
Yep, and I think that's as much probably protecting his capacity, because he is literally, every time they break forward, he's having to run large amounts of space, and he's probably going to have to do the same with Mo Toure soon as well, and maybe make a substitution there, because the distance they're covering, the pace that they're having to do, you don't want any breakdowns at this stage of the competition. And the game definitely isn't won yet, but at this stage, if potentially Nishan's going to bring a bit more of a defensive edge to him as well, it's probably a good substitution.
Yeah, Velapille comes on from Melbourne Victory, first World Cup for him, 3 goals in 7 games for his country. If he can get a 4th and 8th here, it will surely put this game beyond Turkey. But they're looking for an equaliser here with Yildiz down the left to the edge of the penalty area, rolls the ball back. Here's Kukçu, 25 yards out, turns into traffic in the form of Velapille, who gets his first touch by intercepting there, and the ball goes out for a throw-in over on the far side. Velapille into the thick of the action straight away, as we see Gianni Infantino watching on. I mentioned this at the first half. He has ticked off some grounds in the opening few days of this tournament, as Turkey get ready to make a change here. They're going to take off Orkan Kukçu, who had that shot blocked a few moments ago, and on in his place Yunus Akgün of Galatasaray. So he comes on. Substitutions starting to take place with 62 minutes on the clock. It's just a case of see what we can get to work from a Turkey point of view. Akgün gets his first touch straight away.
But you look at the pitch, and we're looking at it, we see a lot of yellow shirts, 1 shirt in between, 8, and that's the striker. That
Yildiz.
Yeah,
So no, and that's the frustration. Aktoglu's literally all by himself in between all those bodies, and nothing's changed on that sense. They've made substitutions but haven't changed the tactic in terms of getting people into those pockets.
Ball with Kadioglu down the left for Turkey to the edge of the penalty area, running at Italiano, the right back for Australia. Turkey have it dead centre with Güler, 25 yards out to the left to Yildiz with the blonde highlights in his hair, the Juventus man, as Turkey play it to Kadioglu, left side of the penalty area. No nonsense defending that time from Çekarti. He clears the ball out for a Turkey throw, taken quickly by Yildiz, who is in a hurry. Here's Güler, the two star players for Turkey, linking up for the first time since Yildiz has come on, really. Turkey midway inside the half at the moment as they come forwards with the captain Çalhanoğlu. Ball to Yildiz down the left, plays it to the edge of the penalty area that time. He was looking for Güler, but Australia once again, I keep on saying it, Curtis, they're so difficult to break down. No nonsense, downfield, over halfway. This time they try and go over the top to Turkey. That one's gobbled up in the air by Swansea's Cameron Burgess, and Aidan O'Neill will bring the ball away down the right.
Yeah, and again, it's a lot of pressure and a lot of good work on the outskirts of that defensive area by Turkey, but relatively comfortable by the Australia defence. And what Australia have done more in this half as well is, rather than just hacking the ball upfield, now we're watching them build out of those positions as well and actually creating attacks from using the ball.
Güler on the attack for Turkey. Ball forwards. It falls to the edge of the area. The captain Çalhanoğlu, he's dispossessed, falls for Yildiz, tries a through ball with the back heel, intercepted by Australia, who will bring the ball away with Jordan Boss, who's given it away. And now here's Çelik for Turkey. Might fancy a shot himself. Instead gives it to Güler. Harry Suter tidies up this time for the Australians, who are under the cosh here. Turkey playing really well. Güler hits one first time on the turn from 30 yards out. That was a little bit careless, really, and a little bit hopeful. It's blocked and it goes out for a Turkey throw. They have been on top in the opening 19 minutes of the second half, Turkey, but still trail 1-0 on 5 Live.
Yeah, but nearly a helping hand from Jordan Boss twice there. Twice he gave the ball away in his own half, and the second time was even worse because it was right on the edge of his box. Gave it to Arda Güler, one pass and they're having a shot on his goal. Really needs to keep his concentration, make sure that he does the defensive aspect of his game to make sure they keep this clean sheet.
Yildiz down the left, running at the right back, Italiano. He's starting to see more of the ball now, as is this man, Real Madrid's Arda Güler. He's inside the area, left side just, and now Yildiz, who's just outside it, on his right foot, tries the shot. Good block by Çekarti. Yildiz again, second time, shot blocked a second time, and again this brick wall that Australia have been able to build comes to their rescue. 65 minutes played. Turkey come forwards again down the left here as they search for an equaliser. Scotland beating Haiti 1-0 overnight. The two games before that, Brazil and Morocco and Qatar, Switzerland, both ended 1-1. You would not bet against 1-1 here, the way Turkey are pressing. Yildiz running at Italiano, decides to work the ball in field. And now here's Çalhanoğlu, the Turkey captain. Ball to the right to Çelik. Low ball in. It might fall for Aktoglu, the main striker who struggled to get into this game at all, such is the way he's been marked and just taken out of the game by that Australian back three. And that time there, it was a misplaced pass from him which saw the move break down, but it's back with Arda Güler. Every time I want to bring Curtis in. Another attack starts to build. Here's Yildiz into the penalty area left side, runs it back to Çalhanoğlu, and now Aktoglu is dispossessed, and Toure will bring the ball away, and here come Australia on the counter. This is what Turkey need to be careful of as they commit more forwards. They stop Australia there, and Kadioglu brings the ball forwards. Yüksek, ball to the right to the substitute, Akgun, into the area right side, runs out of space, defended well by Burgess. Australia with a goal kick, 1-0 they lead.
And there, Mo Toure did really well in a phase there where they won the ball and he tried to just play the ball. It looks like he's got a slight knock. Don't know if it's cramp, I don't know what it was, but he's gone down, and if he's to be missing for Australia, that will be a big miss for this tournament. Hopefully for him it's only a cramp injury and he's just tired and needs to come off, but it's the hydration break anyway, and he seems to be getting stretched out by one of the Turkish players that was trying to get him to carry on. But now there's a hydration break anyway, he'll get some treatment.
Yeah, medics on for Mohamed Toure. By the way, I know I've been time checking regularly in this second half. Where have those 22 and a half minutes gone, by the way? That's how lively and entertaining this game has been as we hit the midway point of the second half. A quarter of the match to go. Turkey very much looking threatening and pushing for that equaliser.
Yeah, they're very much pushing, and the man we spoke about that had been quiet, Kenan Yildiz, is now coming into it. I think the early part of the game he was trying to go on the outside, trying to almost get them into a full sense of illusion that he wanted to hug the touchline. We've seen more recently, he's cutting in, he's having shots, he's rolling balls to the edge of the box. It's just a little bit of patience between other players when they're arriving in the area. What's happened a couple of times is players are arriving, but they're arriving in the same area at the same time. Maybe one will leave it for the other, and they don't quite get that clean contact that they need. Just a little bit of communication, a little bit of know-how of where your teammate is, and you can just see there in the background that Yengi's getting ready now. Tete Yengi's getting ready, which tells me that Toure will be coming off after this drinks break.
Yeah, Mohamed Toure joined Norwich from Randers for £3 million in February, scored on his debut against Blackburn and got a hat-trick on his first start against Oxford United. 9 goals in 12 games for them in total, including 5 in his last 4. He's got 2 goals for Australia in his 9, now 10 caps, but it looks like his race is run in this game as Australia get ready to make their latest substitution. They lead Turkey by 1-0, but they are, unless they find a second, going to come under all kinds of pressure when this game resumes. We're just watching Mohamed Toure now, wiping his face with his shirt, moving towards this near side very, very gingerly. He is going to come off. He's not even been involved with having a drink or anything like that. And you just hope, for his sake, that this isn't tournament over for him.
Yeah, when he was being stretched out, I think the big thing is if a player has got an injury, he won't be letting an opposition player stretch his legs and potentially damage any tissue. So to me it did seem like cramp. Obviously we spoke about the temperatures and the condition of the pitch and stuff like that, so it did seem like a cramp. But listen, Tete Yengi going on the pitch, and we saw in the friendlies that they played, Tete Yengi had a good breakaway goal in one of the friendlies, and he's got the same capacity in terms of his pace, his running power, and yeah, his size as well is going to cause problems, particularly at the set pieces.
Reaction to all of the night's football, by the way, available via the Football Daily podcast with Rick Edwards and Lloyd Griffith. Rick here alongside Jeanette Quachi in half an hour for 5 Live Breakfast. Rick live from Los Angeles throughout the tournament. Is there a Turkey equaliser in the final quarter of this game? We're just trying to get a look at what's going on with Mohamed Toure, who has come back on here, Curtis, despite Tete Yengi getting stripped off and ready to come on. So Toure, he didn't join in the drinks break. He had long treatment inside the centre circle, but he has been able to continue as he jumps for a header. You feel like he won't be on for much longer as Suter powers a header forwards here. Game back underway following the hydration break. But Toure, that's good news for Australia. He is able to continue for now.
Yeah, it is good news, and the fact that he's running around, I thought it might have been a tactical one where if you get him on the pitch, let the hydration break go, and then break some of the flow of the game again, maybe by subbing him during the normal part of the game. But that's me being a cynic, I guess.
It's good news for Australia that Toure can continue. It's bad news for me because I've just scribbled him off my team sheet, but
I think you'll remember his name.
We'll remember him. Wearing shirt number 9 for Australia as Turkey come on the attack here with Akgun. Ball worked in field, Yüksek involved, and now the ball goes back to Bardakci, who hit the post via a fine save from Patrick Beach in the first half. Yildiz on the attack for Turkey down the left, sends in a low cross. Good defending that time by Çikati, who was back there. Pieces picked up by Arda Güler wide on the left, and now Yildiz and Kadioglu. Back to Yildiz, edge of the area. Australia 1, Turkey 0 on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Çelik as Turkey work the ball from left to right. And now Akgun running at 2 Australian defenders, rolls the ball back. The captain arrives on the scene, Çalhanoğlu, and now Çelik into the 6 yards area, blocked by goalkeeper Beach at his near post. I don't know if Çelik went for the shot or just a really fizzing cross. Either way, Beach on hand to make the block at his near post, and Turkey have a corner.
Yeah, Çelik, I think he's gone for the shot, tried to give it the eyes and tried to score at the near post, but Beach on the ball and ready to make the save for his team.
He's been excellent, the Australia goalkeeper, as Goulet whips it across. Easy header away by Suter. He rises highest naturally, 6'6", but it was an easy header away as Turkey come down the centre this time with Akgun. Keeps it moving. Goulet on the right as he cuts back in from having taken that corner. Ball goes back to Ferdi Kadioglu, under a little bit of pressure here from Toure, so decides to go back, and Turkey will build again from their goalkeeper. You've got so much prep that you do for these games. This has been such an entertaining watch. We've barely used any of our notes. It's just been one of those where you can't take your eyes off the match. Australia with 3 attempts on target, Turkey with 5. Australia, though, lead by a goal to 0. Goulet, 25 yards out, hits one left-footed, always going high and wide.
Yeah, he's had a few of them, Goulet, and I don't know if it's out of frustration or thinking that he can actually score, but he must have had about 3 or 4 shots from 25 plus yards, and they've all been wild. And just there, I think he probably made the right decision in Çelik by going for goal, because nobody makes the run to go towards the goal line. If you're a number 9, you should be breaking your neck to get into the between the posts, get in that area. None of them do that, so his only option there was to shoot. But now we do see Yengi on the pitch.
And that breaks up play, Curtis, which will mean you're cynical, but right.
Yeah, that'll break up play, but also that man Italiano's come off as well for Gary, because I was going to say he's had the toughest afternoon or evening all out of everybody on the pitch.
Australia on the attack here at the moment as they come moving forwards. Metcalf hits one and it's 2-0, and Australia out of nowhere have a second goal and daylight between themselves and Turkey. A shot from nothing from the edge of the area, and Australia are on their way to an opening game victory in Vancouver. Australia 2, Turkey 0.
And Metcalf with an excellent finish, and we spoke about him at the start of the game. He was the most lively in the first 5 minutes. Since then, we haven't had a lot to say about him. He's had to do his defensive work, he's had to do his running work, and again it's a transition where Turkey don't do well on the attack, and then as Australia bounce out in numbers and go forward, Turkey don't reciprocate that with their defensive work. And then Metcalf keeps going, he drives in from the right hand side and he just keeps going. He's 25 yards out, sees a sight of goal and just puts it into the bottom right hand corner. Absolutely no chance for Özcan. And what a goal to make it 2-0 for Australia.
Yeah, Özcan Çakır, the goalkeeper, dived to his left. I wonder if he'll think he should have done a little bit better there. The ball wasn't completely in the corner. Metcalf doesn't care. Tried his luck from 22 yards out. Left foot, bottom corner, and the St. Pauli man puts daylight between Australia and Turkey. And you talk about a goal against the run of play. It's been all Turkey since half-time. Australia with 1 chance, 1 goal, and they lead this game now by 2 goals to 0 in Vancouver with 15 minutes to go.
But we've said all along that how susceptible Turkey have been defensively, that any time that Australia have come forward, they've seemed to be able to get in by hook or by crook. They've found a way in, whereas Turkey have been huffing and puffing the whole time, the whole half of the first half, and then more in this second half, and they still haven't been able to break them down. It's just a difference in the levels of defending. We're seeing an Australia defence that is comfortable with sitting there and be able to defend, but unfortunately this Turkish defence isn't set up to defend against the transitions, particularly with the pace that Australia have in their front areas.
36th cap for Conor Metcalf, just his second goal. Only played a handful of games last season for St. Pauli because of an injury. Now what have Turkey got in response? Yildiz into the area, shot blocked, they want handball. They want handball against Jordan Boss. Nothing doing, says the referee. Play will continue as Turkey work it to the left to Kadioglu. 14 minutes to go plus stoppage time. Australia 2, Turkey 0 on 5 Live. As Turkey work the ball to their right. Demiral, forwards from centre-half. And now Akgun, the substitute, who scored in the warm-up match against Venezuela the other week as Turkey won 2-1 in that game. Turkey have the ball left side of the midfield, chipped over the top towards Demiral, header across the 6-yard area, and the shot goes in from Aktakoglu. It was straight at Beach, it needed saving, he did save it, and he held on to it anywhere else, and that would have been 2-1 and Turkey back in it.
And that's a massive save, just in the context of not only stopping a goal, but the timing. After going 2-0 up, you want to have that little rest, you want to be able to protect that lead for a little while, but the fact that he makes that save to stop the 2-1 happening just means it's another thing that will put those Turkish heads down, but will keep those Australian hopes going to see a clean sheet in this game.
Such a great start to a brilliant lineup of sport this Sunday on 5 Live. Spanish Grand Prix from 2, Germany Curaçao from 6, Netherlands Japan from 9, and then Ivory Coast Ecuador at midnight ahead of Sweden against Tunisia in the early hours. All live on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Turkey on the attack here with Çalhanoğlu right side of the penalty area, tidied up well by Australia, and Turkey have to settle for a throw-in right by the corner flag where a number of their substitutes are standing. Corner taken, throw-in rather, taken quick and short to Goulet. Ball forwards, Australia again, intercept, anywhere will do with the clearance. And Tete Yengi is going to give chase here for Australia. Very nearly beat 2 Turkey players to the ball, and eventually his persistence pays off, because here come Australia down the right with the substitute Jason Gurria. He plays the ball forwards this time to Metcalf, the scorer of Australia's second goal. And eventually the moves breaks down and Turkey will start again from the back. Turkey looking dangerous, but again they need to be careful that they don't leave the door open down the other end, because one more goal for Australia and that will be curtains.
Yeah, but Badachi's defending there was absolutely poor. You know, it's only Yengi there. He was half just chasing the ball out of hope rather than actually expectancy, and Badachi just allowed him to get back into the game, allowed him to get a foothold on the ball. And now, because of that, from the throw that they won Australia, they now have a corner, and they're going to have to defend this against Harry Souttar.
Yeah, out of nowhere, Australia coming down the right and getting a corner there, right in front of where a large congregation of the Australian fans are gathered, most of them with yellow shirts on, with the exception of a few who since that second goal have taken their yellow shirts off. And it's the scorer of that second goal, Metcalf. He's going to swing in a corner, and it's headed away by Turkey. Put back forwards by Australia. Ball loose on the 18-yard line. Will it fall for Metcalf? It might have done, but he slipped at the crucial moment, and it goes out for a Turkey throw in their left back area. 10 minutes to go on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Australia 2, Turkey 0 in BC Place, Vancouver. Throw in to be taken by Chikati, because the assistant referee has got involved, changed his mind and given the throw to Australia. Initially it was signalled for Turkey. Turkey, who are now, by the way, going to make a double change. They are going to bring on Mert Mulder of Fenerbahce and Salih Özcan of Borussia Dortmund. So Özcan coming on. And this is just where it's basically a case of do what you can from the point of view of Vincenzo Montella, the Turkey head coach, to try and make a difference here.
Yeah, they need difference makers. They need the X factor players, because it's just not happening. They've tried the football way. They've tried to play all the passes. Need to be a bit more direct and take the game to people. And yeah, they're hoping that these two players can do that, but this will be, although world rankings suggest Australia are higher.
Here come Turkey on the attack. Sorry to butt in, Curtis, with Yunus Utgun, one of the substitutes who came on about 15 minutes ago. Australia defend well, and Turkey have it on their right with the man who's just come on, Salih Özcan, as I mentioned, from Borussia Dortmund. Played just 12 times for them though last season, 28 years of age. Ball worked to the right to another of those substitutes, Mert Mulder, who's just taken to the field, bleached blonde hair. Here's a man who needs no introduction, Arda Güler of Real Madrid. They're trying to come down the centre once again, Turkey. You'd think they would have learnt by now that ain't gonna work.
Yep, and it's more of the same. Very, very happy to defend their box, Australia. Very happy to put their bodies on the line, and knowing that they've not got the size or physicality. And it's Gula again.
Yeah, sharp wide.
Again, the same position again. Must be frustrating his teammates as much as they rely on him a lot to make things happen. When he's taking 10, 15 shots from distance, what good is that for the team? And yeah, they're just, again, hopeful rather than expectant, and just very, very high and wide away to the left of Pat Beach's goal.
Aziz Behik getting ready to come on for Australia at the age of 35, playing at his third World Cup, 2018, 2022, and now 2026. Played every minute of both of the previous two, coming on as a substitute here momentarily. Made his Australian debut all the way back in 2012. Will Australia be 2-0 up or 2-1 up, though, when he gets introduced? Because Turkey, once again, on the attack here with Akgün, who's seen a lot of the ball since he came on. This man's seen a lot of the ball throughout. Arda Güler of Real Madrid, and now Akgün once more. 8 minutes to go on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Australia 2, Turkey 0. If you're just waking up, hello and good morning. Victory for Scotland overnight, 1-0 against Haiti. John McGinn with the goal there. Turkey with a cross from the left. Rick Edwards will have all the reaction to that, along with Jeanette Quachi on Sunday Breakfast from 7 o'clock. Here, Turkey miscontrol the ball in the midfield. Australia will have a throw, and Australia will see away a few more seconds now by making a double change, actually, because not only is Behik coming on, they're also bringing on Jackson Irvine, another of St Pauli, formerly of one of your old clubs, Curtis Hull City. Yeah,
Jackson Irvine, he's a bit of a cult hero in football. He's a model as well, so I think a few people maybe know him from a bit of modelling work and stuff like that. But yeah, a good player, a lot of heart. Will sit in that midfield and make sure they see their game out, which I have no doubt they'll be able to do with the abilities that they have on the pitch.
He looks like he should be a model, doesn't he? He's got long blonde hair with a bobble on the top. Really does look the part, but it's not his haircut that the Australian supporters are worried about at the moment. It's him coming on to try and help them see this game over the line, with them leading 2-0. Huge frame of a man as well, Jackson Irvine, wearing shirt number 22, formerly of Celtic and Hibs, was Burton Albion's record signing in 2016 for £330,000, 14 goals in 81 Australian appearances. But now his job isn't really to score, it's to just make sure Australia see this game out with 6 minutes to go plus stoppage time. Australia 2, Turkey 0. As I say, Turkey continued to attack. Jackson Irvine gets his first touch, and it was an illegal first touch because he's been accused of a foul there on Aktakoglu, and Turkey will have a free kick to the left of centre, 25 yards out. The other thing we need to mention about Jackson Irvine, tremendous moustache. That is some effort, that.
I think that's what got him a lot of the props as well, but don't let the hair fool you as well. As you said, his first touch was a foul there, so he's a silent assassin. He might look pretty on paper, but it's not always the case when it comes to the tackling.
When we use the expression at times in football, his first touch was a tackle, literally his first touch was a tackle, and not a very good one, as Aktakoglu, who was fouled there, comes off for Turkey, and he is going to be replaced by Deniz Gül of Porto for the closing stages of this game, the number 9 for Turkey. Deniz Gül is on and needs to help his team find 2 goals in a hurry. Final 5 minutes. Free kick's going to be taken by Çalhanoğlu. Good save again by Patrick Beach, who's had a terrific game in goal for Australia. We mentioned it earlier in the commentary, but people are waking up and joining us all the time. Patrick Beach, some big saves on only his 2nd ever international appearance, and we're going to see the first yellow card of the game here, waved in the face of Yunus Akgün. Referees taken charge of this game and done a good job.
Yeah, it was a good foul, shall we say, because he's on the breakaway, and again O'Neill would have been in and would have been bearing down on the Turkish goal, so it's a good foul, and the referee has finally given his first yellow card, which was the right decision.
Deniz Gül, by the way, huge frame of a man, 21 years of age, 6'4", so another big target man to try and compete with Harry Souttar. I mean, there's not many people Gül will look up to, but Souttar's still got 2 inches on him.
Yeah, and I don't think Souttar will be too bothered, to be honest, as well, either. He'll back himself against anyone. His aerial ability, his physicality, I don't think they would have seen the likes of him in Portugal, to be honest.
Good scrap in the midfield involving Behic and Mulder, two of the substitutes for Australia and Turkey. The ball eventually goes out into touch for an Australian throw in their left-back area. We've just had another look at that free kick from Çalhanoğlu. Good save again, because it bounced just in front of Patrick Beach, just as he flung himself to his left. It was destined for the bottom corner until he got a strong left hand on it.
And it was an excellent save, but it just, again, highlights the importance of and how managers will live and die by decisions they make. And the decision to put him in goal again was one that raised our eyebrows. It would have been easy to have placed Matt Ryan in goal, but the fact that he saw something in him and decided to give him a go for only his second cap, he's made 4 or 5 really good saves today and totally deserves his place in this starting lineup.
Çalhanoğlu, the captain for Turkey, in the midfield, midway inside the Australian half. And now Güler takes over. Çalhanoğlu plays the ball forwards to Yildiz, out to the left to Brighton's Kadioglu, and now Güler into the penalty area left side to the byline, sends it across, looking for anybody wearing red. Demirel's come forwards from the back here. He has it now right side of the area, rolls the ball back to Akgun, who's on that yellow card, of course. Turkey pushing forwards and looking threatening. Bardakci, the centre-half, is there. Australia are able to intercept and clear, and Turkey via Kadioglu are going to have to go all the way back to their goalkeeper, Uğurcan Çakır. We have got just over 2 minutes of normal time to go plus stoppage time on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Australia with a 2-goal cushion in Vancouver. What have Turkey got in response? Because they've been by far and away the better of the two teams going forward since half-time. But Australia, with that second half Connor Metcalf sucker punch, look to have wrapped this game up, unless Turkey can do something here with this latest attack. Bardakci, ball to the left to Juventus's Yildiz, edge of the area left side. Now Çalhanoğlu lets the ball run. Güler hits it, didn't really catch it properly. It was a daisy cutter and straight at goalkeeper Patrick Beach once again.
Yeah, and I didn't mind that one there because it was good work down the left-hand side by Yildiz, and as he just gets his head up, rather than taking on the shot, he rolls it square, and he has Çalhanoğlu there and Arda Güler, and Çalhanoğlu steps over it, which allows Güler the first-time shot. Doesn't quite catch it as well as he wanted to, but the big frustration again was just moments before that. Arda Güler got down the left-hand side, gets to the byline in space, and again the same situation happened. 3 or 4 Turkish players have made the same run, which was the cutback. Nobody's gone towards the goal line to try and allow him to just flash one across that you can get a slide in and try and get a goal, and that's the frustration. They've had the openings, they've had the territory, just haven't had the quality or the thinking to make sure they get on the end of something.
Final minute of the 90 as Turkey come forwards again here with Arda Güler, and now Kenan Yildiz running at the Australian defenders. Güler takes over, the 2-star men linking up, but they've not been able to produce any star quality in this game. Güler back to Kadioglu, 20 yards out, tries a ball over the top, but that's almost impossible when you're playing against 6'6" Harry Suter. Turkey playing at their 3rd World Cup, lost their previous 2 openers in 1954 and 2002, but they ended up finishing 3rd in 2002, so all is not lost, but there's a big blow with USA winning the other opening game in this group. Yildiz in from the left, moves into the penalty area, checks, works the ball onto his right foot here, chipped over the top. Demirel's arriving at the back post, heads it wide, and it will be a goal kick. And Demirel looks so angry with himself as he walks away. 6 minutes to be added on at the end of this game in Vancouver.
Yeah, and it's been an absolute pleasure to watch this game. Although it's been unorthodox in the way that the goals have come. You know, we've watched an Australia team that have defended for their lives throughout most of the game, and are sitting here 2-0 up. But the quality on the counters have been brilliant. They've always made Turkey work, and that's what they've done. Their qualities come from moments, and their moments they've made count. Turkey have had a lot more of the game, have been on top. Big quality and big players that we speak about in their team. They just haven't been able to put that quality together to muster a chance that was good enough to get past Pat Beach in goal.
Turkey lose the ball up top with the substitute striker Deniz Gül, and that allows Australia to move down their right with Tete Yengi, who's not seen much of the ball since he came on as a substitute, the Livingston man, but he's not had to, because the mission for Australia since going 2-0 up has just been defend against this onslaught of Turkey attacks. But Australia have not only defended well, I'm going to say, defended reasonably comfortably. Because of the way that they're organised, they haven't looked as up against it as they have been, as Çalhanoğlu plays the ball from right to left, pinpoint to pick out the chest of Kenan Yildiz, running at Gurria. Yildiz with a cross, headed away well by Swansea's Cameron Burgess this time, picked up by Bardakci, forwards from centre-half, and now Çalhanoğlu will take over, gives it to his captain, Çalhanoğlu. We have had 2 minutes of the 4 as the ball's played, of the 6 rather, as the ball's played towards striker Gül, dispossessed by Suter, cleared by Suter, out for a Turkey throw 12 yards from the corner flag.
Yeah, the biggest frustration for Turkey is they haven't mixed up their game. When they're getting wide, they're putting in high crosses to 3 giants in the middle, rather than trying to flash balls across and trying to make Australia defend towards their own goal. They've just made it easy for Suter, made it easy for Burgess, and they've dealt with everything that's come their way. What a performance.
Ball goes behind, and it will be... Turkey wants a corner, but it will be an Australia goal kick. Demiral, I mentioned he looked angry a few moments ago when he put that header wide, looks exceptionally angry now with the referee, who, as we mentioned a few moments ago, Demiral's frustrated because he sided 2-0 down. Referee's been excellent, just let the game flow.
Yep, he's been brilliant, and that's part of it. We have to give him credit because he's allowed decisions that maybe are half 50-50s, that might be a foul one way or the other. He's allowed them to go and allowed the game to flow, and Demiral's frustrated there, but we've got this rule now where you can overrule a corner kick, but you can't overrule a goal kick. And that one decision there, which I thought was actually wrong.
Turkey lost it in the midfield, and then Behik came forwards for Australia, looking for a third and what would be decisive goal. Referees pulled play back and given Turkey a free kick. Goulet takes it quickly, takes it poorly, gives it away. Australia intercept and clear long and high downfield. Ball will go out for a Turkey throw in their right back area. We have got 2.5 minutes of stoppage time remaining here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Australia on their way to just their second ever opening game victory in a World Cup. Their last was in 2006 when they beat Japan 3-1, so a 2-goal margin 20 years ago, a 2-goal margin here at the moment as they lead Turkey 2-0 in Vancouver. Yildiz to Goulet, to the byline, sent it across. This time Suter defends well with his feet, right-footed clearance, and it falls for Bardakci on the far side. Sends it across towards the penalty spot. Gül was waiting for the header. Australia had it clear. Mulder to Çalhanoğlu, over the top, headed away well by Australia again. Shot comes back in, Suter with the block, behind it goes for a corner. He has been a rock. Harry Suter, the Leicester City and former Stoke City man.
Yeah, absolute magnet. Everything that's gone into the box has hit him, hit his head. Did really, really well there.
Here come Turkey again from the corner, down the left. Cross goes in, takes a deflection, lands onto the roof of the net. Patrick Beach, the goalkeeper, had it covered. Huge frame of a keeper, goes behind for another corner. Turkey looking for a match ball though here as we go into the final 90 seconds. Turkey, you can't fault the way they've played moving forwards. Couple of lapses in concentration defensively though, what's cost them. Going forwards, it's been wave after wave as the ball's pulled back to Çalhanoğlu, dead centre 25 yards out. Works the ball to the right, over the top, headed down, it's loose inside the penalty area. Suter intercepts, goalkeeper makes the claim, drops to the ground, turns to his supporters behind that goal. Harry Suter punches the air, offside flag had gone up anyway, but he didn't know that, and that allows Australia to waste a few more seconds, and surely now, Curtis, that will be that. There's no way Turkey are going to get 2 goals in such a short space of time.
No, and it was a good run and a good ball, but unfortunately just went too early. They're committing everybody forward, defenders in the box, everybody, and yeah, unfortunately for Turkey, it just wasn't meant to be, and Australia's defence holds out again.
Rick and Jeanette on the way with 5 Live Breakfast. Rick Edwards live from Los Angeles at the conclusion of this game. Reaction to all of the night's football with Scotland beating Haiti, Brazil drawing with Morocco, and Qatar scoring their first ever World Cup goal in stoppage time to draw 1-1 with Switzerland. Into the final minute, in fact the final minute of stoppage time is nearly up. Turkey come forwards once again here with Mulder, ball to the right to Akgun. Australia are nearly there to an opening game victory in Group D to move them level with the United States of America. The referee puts the whistle to his lips. Australia win in Vancouver by 2-0. A goal in each half. A brilliant goal in the first from Watford's Irankunda, and then Connor Metcalf with a cracker 15 minutes from time in the 75th minute, 22 yards out, left foot into the bottom corner. They see Tony Popovic's Australia to victory over Turkey. Curtis Davids intended Australia 2, Turkey 0.
And it was a tactical masterclass. We knew that Turkey were going to have a lot of the ball. We spoke about it before the game, the qualities they've got, the star power that they've got. But this is a hardened, toughened Australia side that don't give up, and they knew they were going to have to play in transitions. We spoke about Irankunda, we spoke about Toure before the game. Irankunda gets the opening goal in a transition. They then have to defend with Harry Souttar, with Cameron Burgess throughout most of the first half. They then do that for the second half, and again on the counter-attack, Turkish defence falls to sleep again, allow Metcalf to cut in onto his left foot, put it into the bottom corner and take the game away from to make it 2-0. Really, really disappointing for Turkey. For all the ball they had, didn't quite have that X factor that we expected of them, and a big win for Australia.
It's interesting because Turkey looked the easier team on the eye, the way they played, but given the discipline and organisation of the Australians, we were talking in the first half about how they made it through to the last 16 in 2022. Have you seen enough from them tonight, given that organisation, to suggest that they can go even further than that this time around? Of course, there is an extra knockout round to come before the round of 16.
Yeah, I think it's about the team that they play against, and if a team defend like Turkey defended, in terms of every time that they came forward with any kind of pace, Turkey just was scared. So I think there's going to be other teams, that have got more pace at the back. I think of France, I think of even England with like Gahey and people like that if you were to try and outrun them, they'll say we'll have a race. However, the Turkish side, they didn't learn from the first mistake. It kept happening, and unfortunately for them, they didn't have the quality to even challenge those at the back three.
Have you seen enough, though, in the wide areas from Turkey to suggest that there is still hope for them in this tournament, especially when they've got the quality of the likes of Yildiz and Güler?
Yep, Yildiz, Güler, and obviously Yilmaz as well, who we thought was brilliant, and be interested to see if he is injured. But yeah, they have got the quality in the wide areas. They've got the 1v1 quality. It's just about making sure that the decision making was right. The decision making wasn't right enough times today, considering how many openings they had, how much territory they had. However, they move forward. They're still going to have a chance to get through, but it's a big game next against Paraguay to make sure that they're able to get a win on the board and get themselves at least into that third place.
Thoroughly enjoyed watching that with you, Curtis. It's been an absolute pleasure. What a game in Group D. Australia winning their opening fixture in Vancouver. They've beaten Turkey by 2-0. Loads more live football to come for you this Sunday on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. The next game is a 6 o'clock kickoff. Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton bringing you Germany against Curacao. Then at 9 o'clock, John Murray and Paul Robinson will have the Netherlands against Japan. And then at midnight, Ivory Coast, Ecuador with Efan Akoku and Chris Coles. 5 Live Sport back with Mark Chapman from midday, but now with the time exactly 7 o'clock, it's time for 5 Live Breakfast with Jeanette Quatchy and Rick Edwards.